Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 67, Hobbs Shaw, Lap 5. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by the National Automotive Technology Competition. Held against the backdrop of New York International Auto Show, the National Automotive Technology Competition is truly the granddaddy of them all for high school students looking to prove their automotive know-how. Thank you, National Auto Tech Competition.
Thank you so very much. So very appropriate, because this episode, I think as we teased last episode, not only is Cara Gael O'Regan joining us once again for our driving school lap, but we'll be joined by our high school expert, Mr. Brian Rodriguez, to continue his one episode per lap theme. So they'll be both joining us after the break to talk about Hobbs and Shaw. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw after the break. But before we get there, Joe, extracurricular activities. What have you been up to since we recorded Tanny and the Teenage T-Rex roughly 1 week ago?
I have some big news.
Oh. Literally big news.
Yeah, 70 inches of news. I'm not talking about...
Congratulations on that, baby.
I got a new TV. They were having like a Super Bowl TV sale, so I bought a new TV. Went and got it delivered, mounted it yesterday. It's hanging on the wall. It's fucking massive. I can't wait till you come over and see it.
Very exciting. Still, not as big as mine, but close.
You're
in the
size
now.
queen.
You're in the neighborhood.
So when you push it up against the wall, like you know where I have my TV, It can't be any bigger, is what I'm saying. Like 70 inches, like Rachel's like, yep, that's it. Like that's the max that we could put there, unless we like moved the mount to like more down the wall and like did some other stuff. Like that's it. 70 inches is the top tier that I could get there because like I have mine mounted on the wall. Yours is on a stand, right?
No, mine's on the wall. I've always had this TV mounted because I think so. The stand that I have is really nice. Not really nice, but it's nice, and I think it's only weighted for like 55 or 60. So like the 65 I had on there before was already pushing it. This one is heavier. It's bigger. I mean, they're lighter than they've ever been, but I've always had this one mounted, so it's not on a stand. It's just on the wall.
Yeah, they're super light now. I think mine was only like 55 pounds or something. That's not much.
Yeah, considering like, an old CRT would be
God.
double that for half the size. I could go bigger on my wall. I don't know that, my room's not big enough to really go bigger.
Your couch throw and my couch throw are about the same.
Yeah, the problem is that like there's certain things like I think certain video games, like I'm too close, like the motion, it's not blurry, but it's just like, it's too
immersive,
frenetic, too kinetic, you know what I mean? So there's certain things that I've watched, I'm just like, oh, this is too big almost. So I kind of have to adjust things a little bit. But in terms of just watching, like I said to you, you're blown away by how big it is, but like in a week or less, you're going to be like, yeah, this is just normal. Like you're not going to even, it's not even
exactly
trigger in your brain that this is crazy big, that it's, 15 inches bigger or whatever.
But for right now, we're in the first time I've ever seen it phase, the honeymoon phase of the 70 inches, and we're like, oh, damn, it's huge. So I'm excited to watch the next lap of Fast and Furious on the new TV.
Anything else you've done since we last recorded?
No, that was it.
What did I do over the weekend? Oh, there was football on Sunday. Congratulations to Wells and to your friend Zach, to the Niners, for making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're really excited, all of them. Everybody's super stoked.
I don't really have a vested interest in any of the teams, but I think of the 4 possible outcomes or 3 outcomes or whatever it could have been from this past week, I think this is going to be the most fun Super Bowl of all the outcomes.
For the fans.
Yes.
It's the first time in a long time that I'm excited to see both teams play each other. Like, I don't have, like, a vested interest to root for or against a team, but I'm like, this was the best outcome for my pure amusement of the sport.
The only thing I did since last week, I only saw one movie in theaters. I saw Bad Boys for Life with our girl Vanessa Hudgens kicking all sorts of ass. I really liked it. I mean, it's not like...
Everybody said that. I was surprised when I saw your review and post. I was like, damn, like, now Joey's, like, one of the 5th or 6th people I've seen that was, like really enjoyed this movie.
I think part of it, I'm assuming for everyone, is that, like, I would imagine almost everyone was like, there's no way this can be good, right? Like, there's no way.
Yeah,
and
low expectations.
Low expectations, but it's also fun. Like, I don't remember, I haven't seen the first 2 recently enough, but, our friend, our listener, Jason Dickinson, he loves this new one. It's his favorite of the 3 Bad Boys movies, I know that.
Cool.
Based on his letterbox. So I haven't seen the first 2 in a while to know how they compare, but this is a fun one. What's cool about it is that unlike a lot of action movies where, I'm not going to name names, but like Nicolas Cage, for instance, where he's 50, 55, whatever years old, he's still acting like he's an action star, that he's like doing these crazy
30.
stunts and the whatever.
Yeah.
This kind of the point to a certain extent is that they're old men and that
I
they're
saw
not
that
bad boys anymore.
in the trailers, like from what I've seen, because the trailers are on TV, I'm not like actively watching them, but they're like at the bar scene and they're like talking about how they're old. So I thought that they were like going to address that now they're like kind of past their prime.
And they're
that's
still good
cool...
action, but it is like they're past their prime, and that's why they have the younger team, which is more analytics based, and that's where Vanessa Hudgens comes in, and like there's that whole team, and they bring a little bit of action, but like it's good. It tells a story, and so I think because this was either like such a success or such a surprise success or what, I don't know, but they're working on a fourth one, which begs the question: why was Bad Boys 4 Life not the fourth one? I don't know why.
Yeah, Wells said that. He tweeted it. Did you see it the other day?
No, but that's just... Nico even said that, future guest Nico Vasillo said when we saw the trailer before Skywalker, he's just like, why?
Oh, I missed the third one?
Yeah, wait, I thought, what? I don't understand. But also, supposedly, when that news came out, the guy who wrote Bad Boys for Life is also going to write a third National Treasure movie with Nicolas Cage, I guess. So, blessings all around, my dear friends. And that's all. I've not done a lot. There was football. This upcoming weekend, I have nothing super exciting planned. But we'll see. We'll see what comes of it when we talk about what's next week. Oh, the Skulls. When we talk about that, we will have our extracurricular
I saw
then.
Parasite finally on Movie Talk.
And?
I really enjoyed it.
Right?
Rachel and I had such a great time watching it. It was sold to us from like everything that we kind of felt and heard. We try to stay blind to like the movies like you do, but it felt like it was being pitched almost as a horror film.
Yeah.
It's not really a horror film. It's more like
people
a thriller.
told you it was a horror film, or you think the trailers did that?
I didn't see any trailers. It was just like the way people were talking about it, like the mood of it, like the coloring of the poster. It made it seem like it was going to be like a gore horror film. And I was like, that's strange that the Oscars would pick this for Best Picture, and everybody said how great it was, and I was like, slashers don't really get accolades, right? So it's not like going to be that. And then when we watched it, we were like, oh, this is just a really fun thriller, and we were so surprised at how funny it was, and like how much we laughed during it.
So I'm going to say something that's a little bit spoilery for Parasite. It's only spoilery in saying what the movie is not, so if you don't want to hear something, skip ahead 30 seconds, but Bong Joon-ho, who directed this movie, has directed horror movies and stuff in the past, like things verging more on horror. And so early in the movie, when that poor person comes outside, like they're poor, but the poor person outside is coughing and coughing and coughing and like vomiting or whatever, like the drunk guy, I was like, is this going to be like a viral outbreak? Is he like patient zero? And then
Exactly. No. We were about an hour into the movie and I said, Rachel, I have no idea where this is going, which is a great thing for a movie, right? Like it could have gone a million different ways and I would have been okay with any of them. I was just like, oh man, I don't know what are we getting to here? And I didn't know. And I watched it and I really enjoyed it. So Parasite was a good one.
It comes out on Blu-ray today as you're listening to this. So if you want to, it's probably, I don't know how Redbox works if there's a delay, but Redbox or VOD or wherever, it's everywhere now. So go get it. Go see Parasite. Again, know as little as possible going in because it is one of the best movies of the decade. It's crazy. Like there's 3 or 4 things that happen. You're like, I don't understand. Like, what is this? It defies genre. It's incredible.
I'm firmly with you. It was a lot of fun. Highly recommended. Go check it out.
So Joe, we have a Patreon page here on the show at toofast2forever.com. If you want access to swag and merchandise, early access to episodes, bonus episodes, the Fast and Furious Minute document, picking what we watch, picking what we talk about, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenin, and Justin Kleinman for supporting us at the $5 level or above over there. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Before we get to the mailbag, I want to see if there's any reviews that we have. Oh, here we go.
I haven't checked. Oh, really? We got a new one?
So we got a new one. It is from Nick Fast 4 Horseman. I don't know if this is Nick Burris or not. He says, wanted to be number 20, LOL. He says, love this podcast. Very informative about Fast and Furious. May all the Denises and Tanyas subscribe. And of course, everyone else, the Joes, are awesome. Well, thank you, Nick Fast 4 Horseman. I would assume...
Which we're guessing is Nick Burris,
Nick Burris.
So thank you, Nick. That was a cool review, too, dude. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, since I don't think Spotify does podcast reviews, and Google Play and Stitcher are sort of niche markets, Apple Podcasts is the big one. Head on over there if you would. Leave us a rating, 5-star rating, a review. It would mean the world to us. Thank you.
It would. Thank you.
All right, Joe, mailbags. We've got a bunch of emails. First off, though, we're going to finally get to the back half of that Wells email about dinosaurs.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this. I actually asked you about it the other day, too.
So Wells says, this was in the email, no knees is better than 2 knees. He says, remember in the first Jurassic Park, when Newman from Seinfeld gets eaten by the dinosaur and drops the fake Barbasol can that he's supposed
Yes.
to bring back the dino embryos, and they show it fall through the rocks. How did they not have the crew come across the Barbasol can when they come back to the island of Isla Soma in the fourth one? Would have been epic, just a thought.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I like throwback nods like that. I like these movies when they do like a resurgence of a series or a franchise, right? When they bring something back, you need to do a little nods to older ones, and that would have been a great nod.
I also do want to say that I might have said it wrong. It's Isla Sorna, Isla Soma, whatever it is. I don't know how to pronounce it. But yeah, I think,
Okay.
yeah, just callbacks are nice.
It's fan service that's cheap,
Yeah,
right?
when, the
Like
fir-
it doesn't
when it's
cost
done
them anything.
when it's done right, I think.
Yeah.
In the first season of Fargo, and this is maybe a spoiler for the first season of Fargo, but it's based sort of on, or just at least set in the world of the movie Fargo. And in one guy's office, there is a painting behind his desk of a ice scraper in the snow. And I'm like, I'm guessing before they even say that, because in the movie, they bury a suitcase full of money in the snow and they use an ice scraper to mark that thing. And I'm like, I bet this guy found that money and then became, like, started his company or whatever with that money, and later you find out that
Probably.
that's the case. I'm like, that's a cool nod to, like, sort of completely independent, like, the plot doesn't really matter, but it's like,
Exactly.
hey, you know that first thing, here's a little wink for you.
Exactly. I love when it's done tastefully like that.
Wells continues. Tammy and the T-Rex came on my TV. I wasn't even paying attention to the opening credits, and it said Denise Richards. So I watched for a few seconds and it said, drum roll, Paul Walker. A young 1994 Paul W. Walker. I'm sorry, but I'm about to break this movie down for you. Here's a play-by-play as I watch it.
Okay. Oh, good.
Oh boy,
Okay.
this is it. And I said this is the longest email that Wells has ever sent, so let's see here.
I'm excited to hear his. He's essentially like a guest on the last episode, just via
After
this
the fact.
email now. Okay.
All right. He says, it's high school age, I think. P walks, about to sneak into Denise's house right now. He thinks he's hitting it, so he grabbed a hat, I like that, and headed over. Ex-boyfriend comes through, shit goes bad. And they beat Paul up and leave him in the forest, and he's now getting eaten by a lion. Wildlife ranger saves him and gets to the ER. Shady business happening. Paul dies in the hospital. I think you're going to use his brain to put into a mechanical T-Rex. He's not actually dead, though. He was in a coma, but some scientists did some trickery and stole Paul. It's 90s gruesome. They cut his head in half and extracted his brain. It's actually a very disturbing image of Paul lying there with half a head. It looks real. Also, he has a boner for some reason. The human-like T-Rex now has a brain and bites off scientist number 2's head and is about to get a second victim who's trying to scare the T-Rex off with some yellow belt karate moves. And boom, he's dead. T-Rex sees a payphone is making a call. He calls Denise because it's still Paul's brain. Cut to 90s style high school party. He walks the T-Rex. Is about to crash it. Panic ensues. Ex-boyfriend's lackey gets his guts spilled by Paul and T-Rex. Now the bitch that set up P-Walks in the first place just got eaten. A few scenes later, Denise finds out it's Paul's brain in the T-Rex, so now they're having a funeral for P-Walks, and just like in Fast and Furious, when Dom watches Letty's funeral from afar, P-Walks the T-Rex is watching from afar as tears are streaming down his dinosaur face, watching his family and friends try to cope with his death. It's very sad. Now, the mission is to find Paul a new body. Headed to the morgue. A naked cadaver dick joke between Denise and male plutonic, possibly gay friend as they pull the sheet back. Denise and friend are getting as many cadavers as they can find while P walks the T-Rex, looks through the window and says yay or nay. It's kind of like the scene in Down to Earth, Chris Rock. Great movie. High-speed chase between police and Denise friend, cadaver, and P walks. They get away and are held up in an abandoned farm. They're not safe, though. Police arrive, as does the mad scientist who did the brain transplant surgery. No one really knows what's happening. Wow. Down goes mad scientist, guts ripped from his body as he tries to tranquilize Paul with a large gun. Cops fire on P-Walks the T-Rex, bullets drop the dino. Cut however long later, Denise has Paul's brain in a bowl in her room as she speaks to him through a camcorder mounted on her wall. She can't see him, but he can see her. She fed his brain some alcohol and he enjoyed it very much. Denise mentions some possible new bodies. She's now in the middle of a striptease dance for Paul. Super hot. Movie ends. Fantastic, but ridiculous to no end.
Wells totally summed up Tanny and the T-Rex. He hit the high notes. He definitely picked a lot of my favorite parts.
I would love to have Wells recap any movie in that detail. So as he said, immediately following Tammy and the T-Rex is a movie called Timeline from 2003 with P-Walks. My friend has a theory that I follow, which is if you see 3 movies of the same actor on TV in a row spread out over a half a day or so, they be dead. I freak out every time it happens.
So this is like the theory that like celebrities or famous people die in 3.
I guess so.
If you see 3 movies with the same person, they're dead.
I guess so.
That kind of makes sense. I dig it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna watch out for it. Next time I have it happen, I'll let you know, Wells.
Cool. Well, Wells, thank you so much for the recap. You know, I
Yeah,
will
you
always
nailed
remember
it.
and I will always love his frantic, no, abort, do not read. email.
Oh, that was good.
Next email from Alex Ellenin. Brinkstad is a bigger villain than Val from X-Blades. Don't know. Let's see if we find out.
I don't know.
Cara prompted the discussion about Cuba and its unique car culture at the beginning of Fate. There's a pretty good explanation in the movie, but I'm going to throw it back to Hyperdrive, an American Top Gear discussion, because I think it was the final episode of the series where they filmed an episode in Cuba and covered its car culture. It was really good and worth a watch. Also, I don't remember if it was discussed before, but one of the other hosts of that show was Tanner Faust, who was the real-life DK as he did the stunt driving for DK in Tokyo Drift.
Oh, very cool. I watched the latest episode of Grand Tour and it was pretty cool, but I think they were in Singapore or Cambodia? Thailand? Korea?
Cara also mentioned, Alex says, the series doesn't have an evil twin. That got me thinking. I think that might be a halfway decent way to write Brian back into the movie without actually needing Paul. Cody Walker could easily play Brian's evil twin or just evil brother. I mean, we don't know anything about Brian's family, really. He could kidnap Brian and then pose as Brian turned evil to get Mia back into the story as a big part while explaining Brian's absence. Just food for thought.
Mini spoiler, we talk all about this in the second half of the episode, right?
I'm assuming we will when we record it later. Wink, wink.
Cara brings this up, and she does have a theory about this. It could definitely be Paul Walker's brother. I think that's a little lazy on their part, but it would make a lot of sense, right? Because you CGI Paul's brother to look like him, or don't CGI him to look like him. The evil twin explanation, he looks enough like him that you see the resemblance.
Yep.
But also it's not Paul Walker, so I think it would work.
I
don't know how I feel about it. Hopefully that's it, and hopefully we see it. But I do like the evil. I would like an evil twin in these movies, but I would like an evil Roman or an evil Tej, right? Like I think that would be the coolest.
We're kind of running out of runway here, but we'll see. I mean, there's still room to have an evil twin.
With them wanting to get Brian's brother involved and stuff like that, it obviously is the most logical choice.
Yep. Alex says, P.S. My last email had the I'm in Morty picture that should have been embedded in the email itself right after I said these idiots are going to do this forever. It didn't even occur to me it would make it an attachment, says Alex. Well,
yeah, we got it. You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Next email from Jake Freer says, Hey guys, sorry I haven't been in touch lately. I've been busy, and yes, Australia's in some serious trouble right now, but I'm down in South Australia. The fires aren't so bad where I am. I think we're supposed to be getting some rain this weekend, so that's good. That would have been this past weekend. Anyway.
Hopefully.
I've forgotten what the theme of Lap 6 is, so let me know and I'll make a pick. Sorry for taking so long, and thank you for hoping that I was okay. So we sent him the pick. He made his pick. You know what the pick is. We sort of had a little bit of debate, but we said, for Jake, let's go with it.
Yeah. So we haven't announced the theme yet, right?
No, we're going to do that on the Relap Recap in 2 weeks.
Jake's pick is tangentially related. It's not the first thing you would think of when you think of this theme. Upon further thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense and does fit the theme.
We went to the replay booth.
Way. Yeah, we looked at it.
Gene Steratore from New York.
Yeah, there's no conclusive evidence that it doesn't fit the theme.
We're not confirming the call. We're just not overturning the call.
Yeah, call in the field stance.
Yes. So he did pick it for Lap 6, though. So all four of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Oh, maybe that's why Fast Four Horsemen. That's what Nick was saying. Remember, I called them the Four Horsemen, the four guys who do $10 a month. There we go.
That's true. Yeah.
All four of them picked next lap. So basically, unless people join in the $10 tier later this year and they pick something for lap 7 is going to be you and me, just utter chaos, just whatever we want to do.
Cool.
But yeah, lap 6 is basically all the way full. We added a fun sort of side thing that doesn't really have anything to do except as a new thing. Like, there's so many episodes that we have allotted that you and I didn't even pick our own for this theme. We just both picked 2 of the 4 for the patrons to vote on. So this is going to be a very, very, because you were even looking at it, you're like, this is a good lap. So lap 6 is going to be a lot of fun.
It's a really solid lap. It's really, like, when Joey did the, like, scheduling and, like, sent me the list of what's coming up, it's really fucking good. So
and the important thing to remember, as it's in there, is that Fast and Furious 9 will come out in lap 6. So we have the 3 episodes.
Awesome.
We have our the Tuesday before. We have our entire hype questions, whatever we think it's going to be. Our immediate reaction episode right after it, and then a couple weeks later we're going to have Mike and maybe Cara on to talk about 9, go from there.
Yeah, I like the way that the last one came out with, like, reactionary, no spoilers, see it again, give everybody a week, spoilers, but theater spoilers, and then, like, when you fit it into the lap, then you get the DVD and stuff to where we can, like, really go over it. So,
and that was what I was saying. So basically, since we recorded the back half of this last night, the secret's out, guys. We recorded the back half last night. I created the art for CageLove.me where we're posting the thing, and I said to you, I'm like, I didn't realize how actually having a digital copy of the movie now that came with the 4K allows me to have screenshots of the entire movie. Like basically before this, I just had to rely on like the Google Images, and it's all sort of they're all
The movie poster.
it's movie
kind of
posters,
thing.
production things. It's just them looking at the camera. But now, as you see for this episode, if you go on CageClub.me, it's a picture of Ryan Reynolds, because why not? It was sort of a secret, sort of, that he was in it, right? When we actually
Yeah,
no, we
but
total secret. We didn't know, did we? I think that was one that wasn't announced. We were just like, holy shit.
Yes,
Maybe,
that's
I
right.
think.
Maybe it's been too long. B. Ryan Reynolds. BRR.
BRR.
For Ryan Reynolds.
Next email from Ben Milliman, Vending Machine Snacks. He says, I keep forgetting to add my vending machine snacks in one of these emails, so here they are. He says,
Okay.
food or drink, Nas Original or Nitro Mango.
Ooh. Nas makes a Nitro Mango.
I guess so.
That's cool. Okay.
He says, food, Takis Fuego and or Nitro.
Oh, there's a huge Hispanic population in New Haven. I can get Takis Fuego pretty much like anywhere, which I hadn't seen before. So I don't know if they've like gotten more popular or if it's because of the huge Hispanic population. Anywhere I go, any convenience store, gas station, Walmart, I can get them. Do you see them everywhere too, or no?
Yeah, there's a big Hispanic population around here too. I think it's just, there's a big Hispanic population pretty much everywhere, I would say, most places, right? So I think there's definitely a lot of Takis around here, and I also have Spanish themed, I don't know what the right thing is, but like Spanish grocery stores, I guess, just around, so I'm sure that I can get them there too. So
I don't know if it's in the 6 years I've left Pittsburgh that they've become more popular, or if it's because I left that region. I do like Takis Fuego too. Rachel likes dipping them in sour cream.
Ugh.
I do. I don't know. She likes it.
Ben says, also, I was thinking about it and maybe some kind of instant ramen. I haven't found one I love, but I keep trying. Usually, if I want ramen, I just make it. I made a 30-minute ramen the other day for lunch and it was pretty good. And he put a picture in here that I'm going to send you right now of his ramen. It looks
so I saw him
really good.
I saw him post it and I had to request him on Instagram because I wanted to see this picture. So when I requested you on Instagram, it was specifically to see this picture, Ben. Thank you. Oh yeah, it does look good.
Yep.
Let me get this ramen recipe. I'm trying to make some homemade ramen. I want to know how you did it.
Yeah, send it to family@cageclub.me and I will send it over to Joe. I would like to see it too.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Next email from West Hampton, Tanny and the Teenage T-Rex. What up, fam?
What up, Wes?
Says the last episode was a wild ride. I really wanted to watch Tammy before listening to the episode, but I never found the time. We had some friends visiting that wanted to watch it, and that didn't happen either. Before we knew it, it was Tuesday morning. I listened to the first part of the show on my drive to work and stopped at the break. Then, when I was on my computer, I signed up for Showtime, the trial, and ended up watching the pieces throughout the day. Not quite what I was expecting, but I liked it and would definitely watch it again, probably with friends. I'm with you with this one, though. Maybe it was just overhyped, but it wasn't as wacky, bad, or weird as I was expecting. Here are my new episode observations.
Okay.
Wes mentions that it's funny that we didn't know what a crepe myrtle tree was because they're all over Austin, which is news to me. Maybe I've seen it, but I don't know trees.
Yeah, names of the plants and stuff. I'm bad too.
A few months ago when we first mentioned the movie, I was looking around online for where it might be streaming, and he found the Italian version on YouTube. He said he watched 3 minutes in to get a feel for it and noticed that opening credits said Tanny. I'm not sure what the hell's going on with this movie. They must have had the same continuity guy that Dom uses for the Fast and Furious movies.
True.
He mentions that that Alamo down there has done screenings of Tammy outside of Fantastic Fest. They do for like Terror Tuesday and Weird Wednesday, which I have talked about in here before that I love. I watched Mac and Me a lot when I was little. I liked it more than E.T. That, I think Mac and Me, and Flight of the Navigator were my favorite kid alien movies growing up, though I don't remember much of the plot now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I watched Mac and Me. I was so young that, like, it's just like a blur, and at this point I can't tell if it's like Paul Rudd jokes that I'm remembering or if it's that I actually saw it. But I definitely haven't seen it since then.
Yep.
For sure.
I watched it once because I think How Did This Get Made covered it years ago. So I saw it once in the last decade, but I don't remember when. And I don't remember anything about it other than not loving it.
Okay.
So to answer your question about how they survived in the barn, this is your question about how Tanny and the T-Rex survived. I assumed it'd only been a day or two, but either way, the T-Rex doesn't eat. He's a robot. He bites a lot of people, but never eats anyone on screen.
You're right.
Although I don't know if that's true as much as just a limitation of the actual animatronic. I think we're probably meant to believe that he eats people, right?
No, I'm firmly with Wes here. A robot does not need to eat, and I forgot that he was they established that he's a robot, so he doesn't need to consume foods and stuff. He might need fuel, but he doesn't need to eat. So
where does he get the fuel for the barn? I don't know.
Well, there definitely be gasoline around the barn.
I guess.
He says, like a tractor or something.
Well, as it said, although how it keeps his brain alive with no way to provide it nutrients is another scientific mystery.
That's Very true. You would at least need some like cell grow media for keeping it cultured.
Says the chew my rope line stuck in my head as well. The doctor was telling Helga, his assistant, to bite the ropes off the hands, but it was definitely played as a double entendre. In that scene, he also pulled the tape off her mouth with his teeth, even though their arms weren't tied down. Their hands were tied, but she could have pulled the tape off herself and probably used her hands to untie his. They made an interesting pair for sure.
They did. They're a weird couple.
Now, this next part is specifically for you because this is a movie that I have not seen in its entirety because I will never watch it in its entirety. He says, did you catch the Napoleon Dynamite connections?
Yes, I did. I caught one. Pedro,
Yep.
the
pizza
other
boy
main
in this.
character,
Yep.
is the pizza boy. Yes, I did catch that one. I don't know if there's another one that I missed.
He says the woman who played, I think, the assistant is also in that, but he had to look her up. He didn't. That's one that he did not remember, but he found another connection there.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I watched part of that in high school. Like that was one of those movies that like everyone in high school loved.
Yeah.
Just based on that alone, I was like, nope. And then I tried to watch it and I was like, oh no, absolutely. Like I was right about this. Like there was a lot that I was wrong about. Like a lot of the Judd Apatow movies, like I stubbornly said no to because I was like, I'm going to be different. This one I was like, no, I was right. There were some that I was right about. This one was one that I was right about.
We picked it for our film club recently. Like within the past year,
Maybe
right?
I tried to watch it for that. I remember trying to watch it recently. I was just like, oh no. Or maybe it was for Brian's podcast?
I think we definitely picked it for film club, and I chose it, and I rewatched it and was like, wow, we were definitely in high school.
It's bad.
I have nostalgia love for it because of how funny it was at the time, and there's definitely still funny parts, like I could throw a football over the mountains. If you go to rewatch it, you're like, this is definitely not a good movie. Like, we just really liked it, and I don't know why.
Says, I think that's it for me on this episode. I look forward to watching it again with friends, but I'm also really curious how they cut it down to a PG rating. I know they cut out like 8 minutes, and actually, as this episode comes out, the most recent episode of High School Slumber Party, Brian talks again separately to Cara and to Jenny O'Connell, his other friend. They were both on
Which
his
is
first.
so ironic that we have Brian and Cara here.
I thought about that. Yeah, it's our internal Tammy team essentially. He talks to both of them again, and I think they talk a little bit about the differences there. So if you want to know about that, check out the most recent episode of High School Slumber Party. Wes says a lot of the gore could be taken out, but there were some violent parts that would be tough to cut around without them losing completely. Same with some of the language. Anyway, it was fun, and I look forward to watching the skulls for the next pit stop. I haven't seen it either, but I've wanted to for a long time. Until next week, stay furious, Wes.
Thank you, Wes.
The next email we have is from Jason Dickinson. It says, hope to see you and Joe 2's Fast and Furious collection soon. F9 is going to be awesome. Can't wait. Stay fast, stay furious, ride or die, fam.
I have to admit that a lot of the stuff that I have is the cars that Joey got me. I have a copy of Fast and Furious on VHS.
That I got you.
I have like bits and pieces, but I don't have like a DVD collection. All my copies are digital. I don't have like a really big collection.
I've posted some of it
stuff
on some of mine either on the Too Fast Instagram or the Cage Club Instagram. That I posted a long time ago, all the Blu-rays and DVDs that I had. And I also put a picture, a boomerang, I think, of the Dom figure that resident historian Mike Manzi, the Mikester, got me. He got me a Dom and Ice Charger. But other than that, I don't know that I have. I guess I have the Fast and Furious Monopoly.
We have the Toretto's Cafe things that we got in Universal.
True. Oh, yeah, I have a lot of those knicky-knack things. I have, like, the wrench bottle opener and the Toretto's garage coasters. Glasses, I think maybe like a pint glass.
Oh, I got some glasses. I got the Hobbs Shaw glass that Wes sent us. Yeah, it's more like bits and pieces. I don't really have, like, models or cars or anything like that, because Rachel gets kind of upset about, like, having knickknacks around.
And not enough room for her sour cream for the hot Takis.
All that fridge space of the cars that I got. As we get stuff and we bought all the toys, but like as we get stuff and stuff, we post it. So you've probably seen most of our collections.
Yep.
I don't have it anywhere like complete, or you're not missing out on anything.
Right.
I'm not hiding anything from anybody.
But I know that he's very proud of his collection. We've seen some awesome pictures of what he's posted online. Absolutely.
Yeah, he has a huge picture. He has a huge collection. It's really cool. He sends us pictures. I like it.
We have one more email. This is also from Alex Ellen, and it says, if Wes feels like he's becoming a car guy, boy, do I have a calendar invite to him. Pass this on to him for me, please. It's an Eventbrite link for an event in Austin, Radwood Austin 2020. And this is a 1980s, 1990s car show on Leap Day, Feb 29. Join us at Driveway Austin Motorsports for our second annual Radwood Austin celebration of 80s and 90s auto lifestyle. Car show that blends period-correct dress with automotive awesomeness. There's a bunch of information.
That sounds really fun. that sounds like a very West type of way to do it, right?
Sure.
Like, become part of the decade. You can do like a little bit of dress up to match the era, and it's a little bit of a car show. I bet that they'd have movie cars or period cars. That would be fun.
Wes could show up in a puffy vest and a DeLorean, fit right in.
Yes, very true. He'd have to buy some Nike Air Mags, though.
Hoverboard, maybe.
Hoverboard, yeah. Definitely.
And that's all the emails for today. If you want to email us, family@cageclub.me. Great email bag. Once again, people are really coming through these last few episodes. This is it's been very good. Very, very good.
I mean, I always like our email bag, but I really enjoyed these ones. Yeah, they've been getting better and better somehow. And I can't put my finger on how, but
I think we have 2 more car pictures, but actually we might only have one.
We played one last
night. So the one that we played last night, there was a separate one. I thought it was a separate one, but it was just another pic from Nick of the same car. So we still have one more that we will play at the beginning of lap 6, because we don't do it on the relap recap. For Fast and Furious lap 6, episode 1, we will do it then. So if you want to send in car pictures, family@cageclub.me. If you want to send in Oscar picks, movie recaps, whatever you want to do, family@cageclub.me. Joe, one last thing to do. Actually, no, sorry. One more other thing to do before that. We have to go on the streets. Fast and Furious News, again, we are getting close. By the time this episode comes out, I think we're maybe a day or so away from the trailer. Like, we're getting close to the trailer.
Wow.
Not yet. It's not here yet. The only real news...
it's going to be Super Bowl, right?
The only real news that we shared, that you shared, it's a sad one, is that The Rock's dad died. Rest in peace, Rocky Johnson.
It seems like everybody was super cool about it, though, right? Like, everybody kind of came to send The Rock condolences. His dad was, WWE Hall of Famer.
Yep.
It was cool. The Rock wrote like a really sweet note about his dad, about how he was his hero and how he was inspirational to him. The things that he did, breaking down the color barrier and stuff. So it was cool, but it's sad, So I'm glad that everybody was very supportive of The Rock about it.
Our heart goes out to Nate Milton and the Rocky Maivia picture show.
True. Very true.
I don't know that there's any other news, really. There's one thing that I did not post because it was debunked before it even happened, but there was a rumor for like a minute that Justin Bieber might be in Fast and Furious 9, but that only happened because the company, I think from what I understand, the company that did the CGI effects on Paul's face and his brother's face in Furious 7 also did video work for Justin Bieber music videos, and I think they had some kind of like sizzle reel possibly for their company, and they had Fast and Furious clips and Justin Bieber clips. People were like, oh, is he in this? Like, they saw that and they're like, oh, is this? But it was no. It's just like, no, that's not. So I didn't even post that because I just, didn't want to hear all the people on Facebook upset about that because, when we posted about Cardi, right? And, like, it's also, but, like, that's one thing that I've seen a couple times where it's just like, oh, is he going to be? But no, not even, no. I'm not against it. I think he could be a fun, in a weird way, a fun cameo. I think he could be a kind of a weird, cool, like, villain that they just... I don't know, but I'm not against it, but it's not happening.
I think that at this point, Justin Bieber would have to be like a T-Pain in the party type situation. Yep. It would have to be like a real cameo, like they're at some rich party, Justin Bieber's performing there, right? Like, that's the part of the thievery that's going on. I don't think that he could become a character. He would have to be a full like, I think Cardi could be a character, but I don't think Justin Bieber can be a character.
Yeah, Justin Bieber could also be one of those kind of Iggy Azalea at the end of a race war is like, oh, hey, what's up, Ghost Girl?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. He'd have been like, damn, like, I remember when I sold that car to you, Dom, or whatever. You know what I mean? Or I bought that car from you. Who knows?
I lost that car to you when you smoked me in that race.
Exactly.
Rock the Vote, searching Dwayne Johnson president and The Rock president. No new news there, so it does not seem, as we are 10 months away, 9.5 months away from the election, that The Rock doesn't seem like he's going to be running for election this year. But, we will still check every 2 weeks, see if anything comes up.
Hopefully he changes his mind and just blows out the competition.
The last thing we have to do is talk about the Fast and Furious minute 32, a minute I called Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield.
Yo, Dom, hey man, we were just about to go looking for you, brother. Where were you?
There were masked cops here. They came in from every direction. That shit was orchestrated.
This your beer?
Yeah, that's my beer.
Yo, Einstein, take it upstairs. You can't detail a car with the cover on. Can't even get that right.
You all right?
Am I all right?
It's just a question.
Yo, Dom, why'd you bring the Buster here? Cause the Buster kept me out of handcuffs. He didn't just run back to the fort.
I think the party is going to be longer than we were expecting because, like, this is just Dom goes on a tirade here for about a minute and gets, mad at everyone for, rightfully so, for abandoning him.
But, like, we don't see Brian walk in till the end of this minute. And we got at least, like, another couple minutes. I think our timing was a little off. Didn't we say three more minutes, like these two?
Yeah, we said there was going to be 2 full minutes and he was going to be out in minute 34, which I guess is still possible, but, like, we didn't really make narrative progress here. Like, it's not like things have happened.
It was just, like, a lot of panning shots.
So, yeah. And the most notable thing I think about this, and this is something that's sort of thrown aside that I didn't even realize until You're My Lifespan, which, again, reminder, is coming up very soon. The fort is actually named. Dom says at the end,
you
as you
didn't know
heard,
that?
he didn't just run back to the fort.
Yeah, no, I knew that was a real quote from the movies.
But I'm just saying I didn't.
It sounds appropriate, but you can't place if it's real or not because it's kind of a throwaway line, right? Like it's just like you could have called it anything.
Right.
So, but yeah, I knew that the fort was a real place.
We're going to get to that when we get to that about the trivia question, but that might be the trivia question for this. I think we talked about this when we were talking about the movie before, but you know what video game Letty is playing while she's lying sort of stomach down on the floor.
It is definitely, this was my big takeaway this time because there's not a lot of signs or anything. We're going back through the house as we have gone through, One Direction back, and this is mainly just, him arguing with Vince.
Yep.
We know that it's Gran Turismo. She's playing with a PlayStation controller that is black. Mm-hmm. Anybody that remembers that era knows that the original Sony PlayStation
was gray.
Came
out in 95, I think. The PS2 came out in 2000.
Yes, which would make it more time appropriate.
Yep.
It looks like she's playing Gran Turismo 2.
Okay.
But this time I did something cool, and I paused it, and I could see the track that she was playing. I wanted to see if I could find the track, and I did. It is what?
Well, I did love the because you're like, I'm doing weird things in this minute, and I was like, I don't know what there is to dig for this minute, but you dug.
So I found it. She's playing Grand Valley East, and this actually kind of helps us too. This was one track that's in Gran Turismo 1, 2, 4. And then, like, some other, like 5, 6. So it pretty much only wasn't in 3. From that, we can deduce that it's not Gran Turismo 3. Because it's on PlayStation 2, and because of the time it came out, it is Gran Turismo 2, right? Like, that's the game that it had to be. But Gran Turismo 2 was on regular PlayStation. I don't know. But you could play PlayStation games on a PlayStation 2.
Yes, I think so. I'm pretty sure that had full backwards compatibility, and there's one PS3 that has full backwards compatibility, and then since then it's been not great. I tried to Google what game is she playing, and basically everything that comes up is about Crossroads, the new one, so, you can exclude that, but it's not as easy to find this tidbit as I thought it would be. Like, what song is playing? I thought I would be able to, what is she playing?
Now that we know that we found the track that she's playing.
Yep.
She's using a black controller. Yep. And it wasn't in Gran Turismo 3, which was a launch title for PlayStation 2. It has to be Gran Turismo 2 because that's the only one that was out before it. Like, so 3 backward options.
Well, 1 or 2, right? 1 or 2.
No, but it looks a little bit better than 1, so I think it is 2.
Okay.
Like, when you, look at the graphics on the screen, it's 2.
Okay.
It's definitely not 1.
So now one thing that you and I did, I did one and then you went and did another one.
I borrowed your idea, yes.
We tallied the number of coronas visible and the number of lit candles visible, and we think there are 14 coronas and 12 candles lit. That's a hell of a party.
When you were counting the coronas, you messaged me before this and you said, can you just take a double count of the coronas, see if I'm close, see if I missed any? I did a count. I was one less than you. I went through and you have where every one of them is. Yep. And I was like, oh, okay, I see the one that I missed. I'm exactly with you. As I was looking around at the coronas, I was like, there's a fuck ton of lit candles in this room. This is something that's very weird to me because they were all like strange colors. So I'm assuming that most of them were scented, so they just had like not 30. There was 12 that I counted, but there was 12 lit candles in this house, and only like 2 of them are tea candles. So can you imagine if you had like 1 pine, 1 apple pie,
all
1
just
vanilla?
Different smells, just disgusting.
Yeah, it would just smell gross. And like, how gross did the house smell that this is a good smell? Yeah. It was just a lot of weirdness.
They're scentless candles.
I mean, they look like Yankee Candle, right? They're like in a big thing, and they're colored, they're dyed green, red, yellow. Like, these are scented candles.
I guess. We'll see. I mean, who knows? I mean, we won't see, but, I would just imagine that if you have this many candles, you know what you're doing with candles, and you're not going to have, maybe they all complementary smells.
I would disagree with you. And I think that if you know what you're doing with candles, you do not light that many at the same time.
Fair point. Also a fair point.
It's like how many cats is too many, right? If you're like, if you have 30 cats, you know what you're doing with cats. No, that's not true.
Right.
That's a complete opposite of true.
Yeah. So now, Joe, the big question for this minute trivia question, I guess there's 3 options now. Number 1, how many bottles of Corona, which is a very difficult question. Number 2, how many lit candles, another very difficult question. Or number 3, easy question, what nickname does the crew have for 1327? Or do you have one that's another question?
I had a different one, and this one's kind of easy, but seems like a trick question, and it kind of combines what we were talking about.
Okay.
Are there more bottles of Corona or lit candles in the house? And you're going to be thinking, you're going to be like, was there lit candles? And you're like, well, Dom has 2, but you won't remember like all the ones on the table, and so I think it'll make it a difficult question. The answer is obviously Coronas, but there's also a fuck ton of lit candles, and they're way more than you'd imagine.
So I have, what number is greater, the bottles of Corona visible at the fort or the candles lit at the fort?
That's exactly what I would say.
There are more Coronas. There are more candles. There are the same number of each. There are no Coronas nor candles. Anybody does that one, just get out of here. You know those Coronas.
Yeah, and then we have to have we have the answer up top, but yeah.
Also in the minute document, if you want to see where all the Coronas are, all the candles are, they're there. I also logged all the clothing. The one thing that I have noticed here about logging extras is that the one Corona girl with the pink top who, she crosses in front of the camera twice. With the Corona, she goes one way, and then the camera turns, she goes the other way. And it kind of makes sense, but it's also she's just, in every shot. There was one girl that I pointed out last minute in the document as Corona Girl, and she has now moved over to Stairwell, so she's now Stairwell Girl number 1 in my notes, just an extra. I paused and took a picture, and I sent to you and Cara. There's an extra. You said she looks like Aaliyah.
She has the Aaliyah music video where she had the tank top, tube top, baggy pants.
Yeah, this girl is in probably half a second of screen time, or maybe a full second. There's not much, but she's got a bandana around her head that's black and white, and then she's got a tie-dye retro throwback skirt on and a black top. It's none of the patterns match, but it's still she is swinging for the fences with these choices, and I saw and I was like, "Hoo boy, you are making choices," and I love it.
I know, yeah, I really liked it too. It reminded me very much of the time, so I was happy.
Anything else you want to point out about this minute? I want to save some of the details for the minute document, but anything else? Actually, if you have access to the minute document, email us, family@cageclub.me. Do you use this? We're still going to do it either way, because I like having this weird thing that eventually we could, self-release, maybe on Amazon, be like, hey, if you want all the needless information about the Fast and Furious, we could do that. But, if you use this or don't, email family@cageclub.me. It's also available at the Patreon page. I try to post it fairly regularly, maybe once every month or so. If you are a patron and you don't know the link, email us and I'll send you the link. I don't know if people care. I think people care about the minute, but I don't know if people care about a record. I don't know. It's
weird.
I'm just very curious how people actually use this.
I don't think anybody uses it. I don't think this is useful for anybody.
Oh, it's not useful for anybody, for anything.
I checked back in it.
I Apple F'd today for fort, see if we had written down the word fort before, and we also Apple F'd for Letty if I had written down this outfit. And I think she's worn part of this outfit, but not the entire thing. So it's
gonna be good. Yeah, eventually we're gonna get down to this movie is gonna be so burnt into your brain that we won't forget anything about it. It will be one of those movies that we're sitting there watching it and we're just too obnoxious to watch it with. You'll be like, yeah, there's 14 phones in this scene, and everybody's like, how the fuck do you know? I'd be like, we counted them, and they're like, they just blow by you. You pause.
When you watch every minute, because by the end of this viewing, in another, so we're basically 1/3 of the way through the movie. By the end of this lap, we'll be 35 minutes in, right? And the movie's 105 minutes essentially. So we're 1/3 through the movie. In 70 episodes or so, middle of next year, we will have seen this movie in addition to the 8 or so times that we've covered it for the podcast by that point.
Yeah.
And also for all the times we watched it by ourselves, we will have seen it 6 or 7 times by minute.
Minute by minute.
Yeah.
Because you watch these 6 or 7 times. Whenever I'm whenever I'm watching the minute, I watch it once.
So let's talk about this. So here's how I watch it. I'm curious to hear how you watch it. So what I watch it first is I open up, because I found the script document online. So I open it up and I just I don't really pay attention to anything specifically, but I'm seeing where the first line of dialogue is and where the last line of dialogue is.
Okay.
So I take that and I copy it and I paste it into the document. And then
Okay.
I clean it up, I format it, and then I go back through and I listen. I don't watch, but I listen to see if I can hear because the script is like
Discrepancies,
90%, but not exactly. Like they'll just
Yep.
say he instead of like they'll be like Jesse blah 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 sometimes, which is like in the script it just says he or whatever, right? I go back and I listen once or twice more to see if I can if it matches up. And then when I get to a point where the script is if I feel good about it, then I watch it without taking any notes, and I just want to see what is there to take notes of. Then I wrote down plot summary and notable facts or whatever, depending on the minute. Then I sort of go from there. So like I'm either pausing to write down outfits, pausing to write down coronas, whatever. It's sort of like there's 4 that I kind of do the same every time, and then depending on what the minute actually entails, I go from there. But how do you watch the minute?
I go one like rough watch where I'm not going to take any notes. I'm not going to do anything. I just want to see like the time points. I want to see the beginning and the end. Get the frame in my brain,
Yes.
right? Second time I watch through, I focus on trying to pick up things that would be interesting for me. Okay, I know that there's some signs on the side of this car. There's another car. What's that car in the background? What motorcycles are these? And I try to start taking mental notes of things I'm going to go through and watch. Then I go through once really, really slow to start hitting, like, and trying to pause for signs and stuff like that. Then I usually take a break, and then I come back, watch it another time straight through, like with the document open, and then I go through and start picking up other things. And it's in times that like I'm pausing other things that I catch stuff like, oh, I can see what track Letty's playing on Gran Turismo. So that was like a late addition after I had watched the minute this morning 3 or 4 times, and then I came home and watched it 3 or 4 more times. The second to last watch, I caught this and was like, okay, cool, let me go find that. And then I dig around there, and then I'm like, okay, I watched it 6 times now.
So we're each putting about 7 or 8 watches, it sounds like, into each minute. So we have seen the first third of this movie 7 or 8 times over the last 35 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was really funny was that Melissa, who was a $1 patron over there, thank you so much, Melissa, friend of the pod, she she messaged when I sent her, I was telling her about, I was thinking about instead of telling you how many coronas there were, I was going to see if you could guess the number. I'm like, there's no way, there's no basis for it. Like
No.
it doesn't make any sense. And so I just put it in the document, but I sent her the number just like as a save for later. And she said,
Yeah, like, here, hold this.
something that I didn't think about, but is probably true of more, not just her. I'm sure there's other people, maybe not. But she said by the time we finish this movie by minute, she will have not seen the movie, but she will have heard the movie in minute chunks. And I was like, that is the weirdest thing in the world.
That's very, very strange. Because we break it down so much, it's going to be funny, like, when we finish this, if she does ever go to watch the movie.
Well, she knows
She's gonna be
she
like-
knows the movies really well. Like when I talk to her, like she knows references because she's listened to every episode. She probably knows more having seen maybe 3 of them than most people who have seen all of them a couple times, just because it's just weird absorption, like osmosis. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah,
if you're around, like
exactly.
she spent more time. If you figure like each episode, this is like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
She spent 100 hours listening to our nonsense. So like, there's 100 hours of just general Fast and Furious in her brain. It's a weird, like it's fascinating. Like we talk about how we wanted to know what Justin's kids thought of Spy Racers, but it's like, what is someone who doesn't care about the Fast and Furious really, who hasn't seen the movies, how does she know as much as she does about the movies and just the podcast?
It's the Giver, the book The Giver. Remember, like, how do you describe the color red if you've never seen the color red? Like, she knows so much about the movies without having to actually see them.
I'm sort of curious, like, because we don't describe, like, we say, like, or in the document or whatever, like, we say, like, in this minute, like, Leon is wearing a blank, like, a plain black basketball jersey with red and white, but, like, she doesn't know what Leon looks like.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what is she, like, what are people picturing if they don't know who Leon is?
It's gonna be so funny when you see it. You're gonna be like, oh, Johnny Tran and his boys again. You know, like the first time you see them.
Oh, that must be Leon that I've heard so much about.
And Leon's like a forgettable
Yeah,
character.
no one knows
if
Leon.
You've seen this. Yeah.
Weird. All right, Joe, let's take a quick break. Let us bring in Cara and Brian to talk about Hobbs and Shaw. I'm kind of a little wistful that this lap is ending, but I mean, the good thing is that in a couple of weeks, we're just starting it all over again.
Amen. That's how it works, brother.
All right, we'll be right back.
This is episode number 67. The Fast and Furious presents Hobbs Shaw. This episode is brought to you by the National Auto Tech Competition. This year, more than $3 million in prizes and scholarships will be awarded to participating students and schools thanks to the generous support of almost every major automaker, industry supplier, local dealership, and dealer associations. The nationally recognized competition was developed in 1993 by the Greater New York Automobile Dealers Association to help curb the shortage of qualified automotive technicians and raise the level of vocational education standards in the public school system. Thank you, National Auto Tech Competition.
Thank you to the National Automotive Technology Competition. Whew, boy, hard to say. Too many words.
It's a lot of words.
I hope that they're paying by the word in their catchphrase there, because I think that's a longer plug than we've given anybody, and I don't know what they have to offer us, but they better give something.
I thought we'd team up with them today because it's a competition for high school students that want to get into car customization. I thought that was a perfect sponsor. Shout out to those guys, and keep doing the good work. Hope somebody wins.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, we have not one but two guests on this episode. First up, I will introduce the guest who has been here this entire lap. She will be back for one little exit interview of sorts, a family barbecue farewell on our relap recap in 2 episodes. But you know her from the last 8 main entries into the Fast and Furious franchise. With us was Cara Gael O'Regan. Hello, Cara.
Hi.
Welcome. I am so sorry that you are feeling sick, but I hope that Hobbs and Shaw and all of the Shaws and all of the Hobbses gave you a little bit of burst of life.
Yeah, this should have been called Hobbses and Shaws.
Hobbses and Shawses.
I hope that they can suck the virus out of your hand with a homemade machine.
My body did turn into what was it, like a bag of hot soup.
So maybe you have the virus.
Fresh off a body bag of hot soup.
Very, very cool, very fun, very sexy, very Fast and Furious franchise.
Sexy.
With us also, he is continuing his streak of 1 episode per lap since lap 2. You know him from the Too Fast, Too Furious in lap 2. You know him from our 3-episode crossover of Tokyo Drift in lap 3. You know him from the Fast 5 episode in lap 4. And now, for the 4th movie in the franchise, Hobbs and Shaw, we have with us Brian Rodriguez. Hello, Brian.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for fulfilling my contractually obligated appearances on this show.
Of course.
I love it. I appreciate it.
It's a weird sense of pride that I have that I want you to be the first person to sort of do like the long route. Mike and Cara now have completed the entire run, right? Cara, the first one to do these 9 in a row. You're going the hard way. You're going the long road. This is like the tortoise and the hare. You are the tortoise. You're going to get there. You're going to win. It's just taking you probably by the time we're done 13 laps or something. Who knows?
Well, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. So I appreciate it.
I was going to say he has nothing but time. But that was even better.
All I know is that all roads lead home. Before we talk about Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, we've got some either-or questions to kick things off. I don't know. I'm going to find out if Brian has any. He might. I'm not sure if we've added any since he's been on last. But Cara, first up for you. Now, these are the final questions. So I hope these don't have necessarily more weight, but symbolically they might. Are you more, would you say, this is going back to the very first questions that we asked, are you more, would you say, a Hobbs or a Shaw?
Probably a Shaw.
Okay.
Not that strong, but I got brains.
Okay.
Outwit people.
Big guy, little guy. Hobbs,
Yeah, it's
Shaw.
Although in Jordan's relationship, nope, you know what, that still works because I'm tall and she's short, but she's strong and I'm not. So it's still, she's Hobbs and I'm still Shaw.
Okay. Oh, here's a question for you, Brian. If you haven't had either, you're allowed to pass. Do you prefer In-N-Out or Whataburger?
This debate is raging
It is.
everywhere, right? It sounds like a cop-out, but it really depends where I'm at, right? If I'm in Texas, it's Whataburger.
Sure.
But if I'm at West Coast rocking it, it's In-N-Out Burger. I got to do what the people do. I like both. Both, have their own merit, but you want to have the thing where it's like more known to be from.
Yeah.
You want to sample the local fare.
Exactly.
So you go to Austin, which has both, and you're going to choose Whataburger.
I mean, I've had In-N-Out in Texas. as well, and it's still good, but they make fun of you in Texas for eating In-N-Out. They want you to eat the Whataburger, and I like both. So, yes, to answer your question, Joey, if I'm in Austin and I could choose one, that's what I'm choosing.
And that's not me, Joe, trying to get my answer out of that. I'm going to write down local cuisine, but I want to know, because like there's very few places in the country where you can get both, but it also fits into Brian's broader, when I'm local, I eat local. Think global, but eat local.
I want to know who, like, the owner of Whataburger, what he did to brainwash Texas into thinking this is good. But he, like, has them all fooled. It's crazy.
It's not brainwashed. It actually is good. And Whataburger is good. In-N-Out, not good. All right, Cara, final question. This is the most difficult. I'm building up, and it's also the most difficult question what we're going to ask. In all 9 movies, who is your favorite character?
Oh, that's so hard. Up to this point, I would have said Letty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I love Princess Margaret, who is actually, her real name is Vanessa Kirby. She's a wonderful actress, but she plays Princess Margaret on The Crown, at least like the younger one. So I will be heretofore referring to her exclusively as Princess Margaret.
But Hattie Shaw.
That's fair.
I loved her. I love her.
Yeah.
She's a great character.
She's amazing.
Give me a her and Letty spinoff now.
So I'll say Letty/Hattie. I'll do both. It's just, if there's 2 T's and a Y sound at the end, and they're a fearsome lady, they're for you.
Sure.
So you know that there is plans to have an all-female Fast and the Furious spinoff.
Yes, we've discussed this many times.
Yeah, so we were saying, sorry, but when we were talking about it, we were talking before, Joey and I, and we were like, who would be in the female spinoff? Like, what are the characters? And we're like, you gotta add Hattie now, right? Like,
oh, absolutely. She's so good. I mean, I hadn't seen her do action before, and she's so good.
Well, you should also, it's not to this extent, but Mission Impossible Fallout, she is also in. And there's a lot of crossover in terms of action stunts between this one and that one. We've talked about that before. I still don't know, Joe, if you've seen it yet, but there's a lot of action crossover between the two, and Vanessa Kirby is in both, but she is also fearsome and beautiful and badass in that one too. So if you want a little bit more, sort of like a chaser for the shot of this movie, check out Mission Impossible Fallout, where she's also pretty badass.
did Brian answer the Hobbs or Shaw one?
Yes, Brian, like all 4 of us, is a Shaw.
Okay, makes sense.
We've not asked a lot of people that, but overwhelmingly, Shaw is the winner right there.
Because The Rock is just so big.
Exactly. And it's just,
hard to...
there's only one of him ever in the history of the world. That if you come on this podcast and you're cocky enough to say you're a Hobbs, come on.
Wait, so here's a question.
There's a good chance he wouldn't
Do
be
you
on
know
this
one of? Can you name the 2 people who have been Hobbs? One of them, they're very close to 2 people in Here's Hearts, if that makes sense. Who do you know? So, Brian, when you say someone, if they're
asking.
cocky enough to think they're a Hobbs,
I'm assuming the Foodie Films man himself.
correct?
Kyle
Reinfried said he was a Hobbs.
And then Jordan's strong, so I'm going to guess her.
Jordan has not answered that question. That was a question that we added since, because we used to ask, and this was very confusing, if you were Deckard or Owen.
And they just blurred together.
And we're just like,
nobody remembered the differences.
And so then it took me way too long to be like, wait, why don't we just do Hobbs or Shaw? The other one is Joe's wife Rachel said she's a Hobbs, which I don't know that that's true either. Although maybe her reasoning was that she gets angry? I don't remember. But they're both angry. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was like anger and like personality-wise, like she's like, which is funny in this film, but like Hobbs is definitely like the more laid-back one in this, right?
Oh, sure.
Like Shaw's like super uptight, so it's like it was like a lot of those factors, which wouldn't make sense because Hobbs like comes from the fucking top militarying that you can do.
Yeah, he was not laid back in the other movies at all.
No, he just like takes this like weird family laid back spin. Like,
And I gotta say, I like it.
yeah, see,
Took a little while, but you're there.
Brian. Cara was not a fan of Hobbs at the beginning because he's just like too much of a tight ass, right? Like, isn't that what it pretty much was?
Yeah, and I don't trust cops.
Yeah, that.
We really didn't know him at the time, though.
Exactly. That's what we kept hinting at to her. Like,
He also wasn't The Rock yet.
I also had not yet seen him wear a cut-off Motley Crue t-shirt, which got him like an extra 50 points.
The little things add up.
Yeah, they really do.
The final time we will ever play this game, because it's going to change for next lap. Brian, I don't know if you've been listening to this lap, but because this is the Brian O'Connor lap, because in our interim weeks we're focusing on Paul Walker movies, we're focusing sort of specifically on Brian's character, even the movies where he's not. This is the driving school lap, but it's also the Brian O'Connor, Paul Walker lap. We've been asking every time as a kickoff to the conversation, who is the most Brian character? What is the most Brian moment? That's so Brian.
That's so Brian.
Who do you have? Anybody have a thought here in who's the most Brian character? I don't know that Brian exists in this world. Like, I don't know that he fits in this world. It doesn't feel like this is a Brian world. But who has thoughts on what the most Brian moment is?
I think the most Brian character for me has to be Ryan Reynolds, because he's the shittiest cop.
Yeah.
Like, he's like a cop that isn't really doing anything, and so that would be the most Brian to me. Like, he's involved but tangentially, but like really bad at the copdom part. So yeah, that's what I think.
I'd agree with that. I think though he's more closely that other cop, that other CIA guy, who has to get Shaw.
Okay.
Oh, Rob Delaney.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a little bit even more lame and less exciting. So.
Because if you're not like directly following Brian, like if Brian was like telling you like about his day but like leaving out the Fast and Furious parts, it would be this.
Yeah.
I think those are two good choices. Cara, do you have a thought on the most Brian moment or the most Brian character in this movie?
I think both of those work for me.
I think there is an inclination to maybe point to Kevin Hart as a kind of Brian character, but he's like wildly competent in this movie. Like, he gets the job done, for all this bluster and the fact that he is easily spotted as an air marshal. He's good at what he does. He's, one of the 3 apex predators, the 3 alphas.
Yeah.
He gets them to Samoa. So I don't know that he's good at what he does. So I don't know that he fits.
I was thinking the other thing might have been like Jonah. That's a character that you call in when you need like the extra push over the edge, and he kind of solves the problem, begrudging about it.
Those are good choices, I think. I think it's got to be the 2 handlers, right? It's got to be Rob Delaney. It's got to be Ryan Reynolds.
Because they are cops.
Well, so now, Cara, this could go any number of directions. At some point, I want to know, this is the most modern movie that we have, came out last year. I want to know about the fashion, what you think about the fashion. I want to know what you think about the soundtrack. But where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about? Your favorite moment, least favorite moment? I don't want final rankings today. It's going to come in 2 weeks. But, where does this fall? Did you like this movie? How did you feel about it? What do you think, Hobbs and Shaw?
Unexpectedly, I loved this one, which I was not expecting, given my previous stance on The Rock and everything. Was not expecting it, but it's so specifically, weirdly relevant to so many of my interests. We got infectious disease. We've got a kind of Resident Evil kind of storyline going on. Oh, a tech cult. At one point I wrote down Steve Jobs, Tammy and the T-Rex computer. I'm not sure what I was talking about. I just, Princess Margaret's there. I just really enjoyed this a lot. I'm not sure where it is on the rankings, though.
When I ranked my movies last time, I ranked them by fun, and I put Hobbs and Shaw at the top because I think it's hard to have as much fun. And in fact, this one does not there's no seriousness to this film at all. It's just all fun.
Isn't it weird that the stakes have never been higher for the world, right? But it feels like the stakes are lower than ever, and that's what makes it fun. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yes!
It works.
I really like the mechanic where they've used the save the person, right? Save the girl. And they've used the, end of the world. And at this time, they're let's combine them. And you save the person who's gonna end the world.
Save the cheerleader, save the world, just like Heroes taught us 15 years ago.
They just combined it, and I was like, wow, as I was watching it last time, I was like, they just really did, their 2 tropes as one trope, and it works so well. The thing is, the stakes never feel lower because the family has a chance to fail, even though we know they're not going to, because they're, normal people. But, Hobbs and Shaw are, the 2 best of them, because you have some screwballs in the family, right? You have Roman and Tej. Shit could go bad. With Hobbs and Shaw, you're oh no, they definitely got this. No matter what it is, it's gonna get done.
You asked me if I had a favorite part, and I'm not sure that I do. But at one point, when Princess Margaret is still fighting with Hobbs and Shaw, they have her in the CIA black site. I forget who she's hand-to-hand combating with, but she pulls off one of my favorite ice dancing moves, which is
toe pick?
Not exactly a toe pick. No, actually quite different than that. 2 people facing each other. She jumps on his shoulders and mounts his face. I think it's hilarious.
Oh, she does that to Hobbs.
Yeah, it's so funny. It makes me laugh every time.
She mounts him, and then he's basically looking down her as she's got the gun in his mouth, basically, and that's when Shaw walks in and he sees his sister, hips straddled around his mortal enemy, ostensibly. So, very compromising position there.
Compromising, but most women, our legs are stronger than other parts of our bodies, so
True.
You can actually kill a man that way.
Well, there you go.
True.
Or put them to sleep unless they are able to lift your entire body up easily with one arm, as they do in the fight outside.
Yeah, hopefully you're not doing it to to Hobbs.
I think that she puts up an incredibly admirable fight against Hobbs. But I don't know that anybody in these movies, like Dom's flying headbutts aside and Jason Statham, like Shaw's things. But like realistically, if we're going by the book, like you can't take down Hobbs. Like he's a literal mountain. Brian, what about you? Do you have favorite parts? I think you were there. Were you there when we saw this in theaters?
Yeah,
you were there, right?
He was.
I was there.
Family viewing.
I mean, so we've talked about this briefly with you before. Do you have favorite moments, favorite characters, favorite scenes? How does this fit for you into the franchise? What do you like about this movie? Just hit us with overall thoughts.
When I first saw it, loved it. I thought it might be the atmosphere because I doubt we would all go to the movies and watch this movie and then hate it, Watching it again, though, it was reaffirmed my love for this movie. It's just so fun. It doesn't feel as long as it is because, it's like 2 hours plus, right?
It's like 2:15 with the extra scenes.
Yep.
I'm glad they spun it off in this direction. And like I said, it's just super, super fun. Favorite moment? When I previously had come on this podcast, God knows when. I guess it was when the trailer dropped.
Yes, I was going to bring this up to talk to you about it, yep.
And and I was like, whoa, what is this Samoa thing, right? Like,
you had logistical questions.
Yeah, because I thought from the trailer that, they were doing this Fast and Furious thing all around the world, and that he was just like going back to Samoa to get some cars to bring them somewhere else. And it didn't make a lot of feasible sense, both cost-wise and why this garage would exist. But a good chunk of the movie takes place in Samoa. Disappointed that it was actually filmed in Hawaii. But I do love those kind of family elements because we've seen everyone else's family in the series. And now we're seeing, again, we know Hobbs had a daughter and stuff like that, but now we're seeing that extended Samoan family. Like I said, the merger of Dwayne Johnson and The Rock. They're the same person, obviously, but they're always personas. And Hobbs they're all now the same person.
You do bring them together with the Samoa visit. You staple The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and Hobbs together.
I thought that was cool that they did that. Like, just obviously representation's important, and we don't get it a lot for a lot of different kinds of people. I just thought it was cool that he was able to kind of, roll his heritage into such a big project like this and make it so integral to the story. I recently watched a couple of the Spy Kids movies, and they do that too, and I didn't expect that to happen.
Do they?
I thought it was
I've never
great.
seen any.
Yeah, it's a really interesting franchise.
Maybe I'll have to check it out.
Those movies are so fucking weird. I love it.
I mean, they're Robert Rodriguez movies. I don't know how they could not be weird.
I don't know what I was expecting, but they're really weird.
Yeah. I do want to go back to what you were saying, I think everybody, I think specifically Brian most recently, about how much fun this movie is. I kind of wish, I don't know where you would cut it out, but imagine if this movie was like half an hour shorter, how much more fun it would be.
Yeah.
I feel like the escape with Hattie when they get freed from, when they go get Hattie from Brixton, right? That whole escape is 10 or 15 minutes. It's so long. It's so long. How are we still here? How is this still going on? And it's not bad, but I feel like so much of this movie moves so quickly from here to here to here, especially the first half. But then it just feels like we're just there for so long, and it's a cool action set piece. It falls a little bit into the traps, sort of Fast and Furious, where the action is cool, but it's also the least important thing. At least when you've seen the movies 5, 6, 10, 20 times or whatever, right? It's we want the character moments. And I feel like getting to know Hattie, getting to know how she interacts with people is so cool. And here it's just yeah, so Brixton's superhuman. Okay, cool, we get it.
What part was that?
So it's when they're in basically Chernobyl and they're escaping, and that's when Brixton is on the motorcycle and he crashes the motorcycle into the car and they're escaping.
And they're driving the truck. It's just a lot of action just running around through a desert, essentially.
Yeah. I really like the rain action scene.
Is it rain or is it a waterfall? Because it looks like rain, but I think they're just under a waterfall. But it might be raining too.
That's possible.
I think it takes a turn. I think they mention the weather in the planning stages of the film. Don't they mention weather? Or they mention the daylight?
I was worried that Idris Elba wouldn't be waterproof when it started raining or whatever happened. I was like, oh no, is he waterproof?
How would you have felt? Would it have changed things if he started malfunctioning?
Oh, that would have been so funny. I would have really loved that. That here's this super transhuman, humanoid, thing who's indestructible, except they forgot to think about the fact that sometimes it rains, which is completely consistent with every tech company I've ever worked for. So that would have actually really tickled my fancy quite a bit.
Or he went 10 meters underwater and they were like, oh shit, he was only good to 5.
rust and stuff.
Seeing him zippered back up and this, like, the skin patch that's, like, a different color, the techno skin, and then this is his real skin, and watching them zipper him back up gives me shivers every time I see it. I'm like, oh. Like, I've seen many types of cutting surgery type things. Them, like, zipping his spine up with a drill was just, like, so weird.
Did he live up to your expectations? Oh, I don't know, Cara, if you had expectations of him as an actor. A lot of people do. A lot of people really love him. Did he live up to your expectations in this film?
I do love him. Didn't know he was going to be in this, so pleasant surprise. Yeah, I thought he was great. I think this is a great long-form audition for his inevitable role as James Bond, which I am, right? There's no one else. It has to be him. I feel very strongly about this. I was disappointed that, like, about what happens to his character, that he just gets decommissioned.
Nobody's ever dead in Fast and the Furious, though.
Exactly.
So, like,
and I realized while watching this, last time we talked about kind of the soap opera-y nature of the franchise and how eventually somebody's going to have an evil twin. While watching this, I realized exactly how it's going to happen. It's going to be an evil clone, obviously. And that's how you solve the Brian problem. That's how you bring him back. There's a warehouse full of Brian clones somewhere.
So Etion has an evil Brian made already.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
Or they're, like, working on it, and he keeps coming out weird.
And the weirdness is that he's actually his brother in real life, so they don't look the same.
Right.
That would explain so much. Oh, God. I think he might have nailed it. Like, I got disappointed that you just cracked this case for
Sorry,
us.
guys. Sorry I ruined the entire franchise.
Cam Jansen over here, jeez.
But if somebody wants to hire me, please do.
You know, we have one of our listeners, Wells Lamont, has sent in so many crazy theories. I don't know if he said Brian is Etion, but I feel like if we have talked about that, it would have been him, because he's basically said that everyone is Etion.
Oh, interesting.
From
I mean, I don't
Denise
have...
Denise on down.
So
Like,
you're talking
he's
about
the voice.
who's in charge, who's the voice.
That's a good question. Yeah, Cara. So who do you think the voice is? Who do you think it could be?
It's Steve Jobs, obviously. No, I'm kidding, but I was thinking about the fact that Apple probably has a Steve Jobs brain computer somewhere, which I guess is why I wrote down that thing.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense. Sorry.
Yeah, T-Rex computer.
Who is the
voice?
modulated voice?
I don't know. I don't know if we've met them yet. I think it's possible that it's Cypher, but I also don't think it's her. I think that she's a contractor for Etion.
The quick rundown, the quick recap, the TLDR of what we think is that I was convinced it was Cypher. I thought I heard Charlize being the voice. What we have found out is that Ryan Reynolds actually did the voice, but not because his character is going to be that guy.
Right.
He was just around.
They just
and they
needed
wanted to
somebody
keep it
to
a
say the
mystery.
words.
There was talk at one point that they wanted Keanu Reeves to play the director of Etion. And the quote is, what we did at the end was we left the ominous voice faceless. So for some time, it was going to be a bit of John Wick, all disguised. But then we left it there with a few people in mind. Originally, Keanu was the goal. We were talking, and it just didn't feel right creatively. He and I talked, and I totally got it. And it wound up being the best thing, so now we leave that open for the future.
And I'm sure he can come and do a walk-on role as somebody else.
Because they
Give
want
me
him
Keanu.
in this, because this is a David Leitch movie, and they're buddies from The Matrix, because they think David Leitch, like they're he came from the world of stunts, like he doubled Keanu, and also he co-directed the first John Wick, so like he has a history there with Keanu. Like he's going to be involved, I think, in some way.
And this is for Fast and Furious 9?
Probably
You're talking
not.
For Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, Hobbs and Shaw 2.
So what Joe and I have talked
Okay.
about is that since this movie came out, they have confirmed Charlize is coming back for 9. So I don't know. I no longer quote unquote need Charlize to be the voice because she's coming back. Like I wanted her to be the voice because I wanted her to have some kind of greater implication. And I think that there is there could be a direct correlation between like the main villainy of the main franchise and Etion. Like we're all building towards this.
I mean, it would have to be unless they are two different universes.
So the other thing, and this is something that I think there's a little bit more detail here, Joe, than we've known before. There's actually trivia now on IMDb. So here's the history of this movie, which directly leads into sort of the splitting of the franchise. So the idea for this movie came while they were filming The Fate of the Furious, and just the fact that Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham as actors had such chemistry on set. They developed this, and before they finished shooting the movie, they greenlit this movie. Vin Diesel found out, he got mad, which is what we knew about, and that's when, there's that whole candy-ass thing or whatever. And so Vin Diesel, as a producer, within his rights, canceled some of Dwayne Johnson's scenes in Fate of the Furious, but he also didn't show up to set for hours, or at least one day of production, which meant hundreds of people sat around. Then that's when, after I guess they found
Rock
out,
didn't? Or-
no, Vin Diesel didn't.
It's his franchise. What a dramatic move.
Yes. I don't want to pick sides here because this is more Vin's franchise than Dwayne's. It feels like Dwayne Johnson is just like, he's going to show up, he's going to give his best, and he's going to go home.
He's a worker.
Right.
Yeah.
And Vin, I think, was hurt that they're like, here, we're going to make a Fast and Furious movie that has nothing to do with you, that you're not going to be in. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, kind of stealing his baby.
So then, Michelle Rodriguez and Tyrese Gibson found out, and they were then Team Vin, Team Dom, whatever, and they thought that it was bifurcating the family, and they were also upset that the release of this movie pushed 9 from last year to this year to 2020. Because of all of this, Dwayne Johnson came out and basically just said, I'm not going to be in 9, I don't want a part of this, but I'm not ruling out 10. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a cameo role or a credit scene or something in 9, but for the most part, like, he's not going to be in 9. Like, we know that he's not there, that they're, bringing in John Cena, whatever.
Yes.
That's the history of this, and so it's petty.
It really is. That's sad.
Yeah, and famously, Dwayne Johnson tried to like hug it out with Vin Diesel, and they had a meeting, and it did not go well. They came to the conclusion, I know from the Johnson perspective, it came to the conclusion that their view of filmmaking is different and their view of the franchise is different. He'll probably appear in 10, as he said he wouldn't rule it out, and if that's like the last one, but they are not on good terms at all.
I don't see a world in which the two of them, like, they're both so committed to the franchise and they love the franchise, they love the fans, to what, especially Vin, right? But like The Rock has a whole bunch of things, like he is like he's got every franchise going, whatever. I feel like there's not a way where they can just let this ego thing ruin what should be like this ultimate culmination. Like if they,
For the fans.
after 10, if they don't want to be in another movie together, I understand that, but like 10 has to be, like we keep saying, has to be the end game of this all. Like everybody has to be in there, that they take down the ultimate boss, and then from there you could have wacky standalone side missions or whatever where they deal with the next snowflake virus or whatever, right? But
yeah.
I don't see a world in which Hobbs and Shaw, the characters, are not important parts in 10.
I think Dwayne Johnson's down. From what I understand, Vin Diesel essentially was like, no, cancel your spin-offs, or if you do a spin-off, you have to do just one, and then you're back here. And, Dwayne Johnson was like, I like doing this. The guy's a hustler. He's always filming a movie.
Yeah, I respect it.
Rest in peace, his father just passed away.
Amen.
Rocky Johnson.
And there's a picture of him with The Rock and his father in Samoa. There's a picture of the two of them.
That's
and there's
cool.
also a poster for the movie Cobra, which I just love. I don't know why there's a Cobra poster, other than like these guys like that, but man, oh man, that was cool.
I mention it because he was just, I think the funeral was like a couple days ago, and he just started filming a new movie today. The guy works, so there's two obstacles for him to be back in the franchise. One, really Vin, honestly, checking his ego and being like, all right, you could do your thing. But two, it's getting this guy's schedule right, because he's always doing something. Like if you follow him on social media, he's just like the hardest working actor, I think. They better figure this out quick. That's my point.
Not only is he like an actor who's slammed making content, he also has to stay in this crazy physical form. How does he work out, 2 hours a day and then also go shoot movies like with no days off? It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I know like his routine. He gets up at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and that's when he works out. He's insane.
Yeah. Going back to the voice, I know that you said that you thought it was Cypher. I definitely didn't think it was Cypher the first watch I had. Second watch, definitely not Cypher. This watch through, the inflections and vocabulary that the voice is using leaves them a lot of room to make this Cypher.
Yeah, that was my point from the beginning, that like having seen every Charlize Theron movie, I thought I knew how she spoke, and then like when they came out, like when Rachel said that she thought she heard Ryan Reynolds, I was like, no, that's crazy. And then when they're like, no, Ryan Reynolds actually did it, I was like, oh. But like in my head, like I think I wanted it to be, but I agree with you. Like the way that she says the words, it's like this is the stilted delivery, the jilted delivery, whatever. It sounds like her.
And then the points where they turn it off, I can definitely hear Ryan Reynolds delivering it, but it sounds like Ryan Reynolds is doing an impression of Charlize through a modulator, is what it sounds to me. I mean, that of course that gives them a lot of leeway, and that will be a great way to do this. But
so here's what I grabbed this time through. So the subtitles at the end. Brixton never really lived up to our expectations, but you three talking to the two Shaws and Hobbs. You outperformed your analytics. You don't remember me, do you, Hobbs? You will. It's going to be a hell of a reunion. You're on our radar now. So we talked about before, it's a voice who knows Hobbs, right?
Yes.
But it feels weird that he's like, it's going to be a reunion, but then you're on our radar now. Like, why were they not on the radar to begin with? Like, if they knew Hobbs and they knew Hobbs' capable qualities, like, why weren't they? It's just like a weird contradiction there, and maybe, again, reading too far into it, but isn't that also the point of what we're doing? I don't know.
This one feels the most unbuttoned dialogue wise. There's a lot of like loose ends that different wording could have fixed a lot of things. I forget what we talked about last time, but there was like one line that we were like really breaking down like before we had the DVD, right?
He says, "You don't remember me, do you, Hobbs? You will. It's going to be a hell of a reunion."
I think the movie came out really fast and they were just like blowing through the screenplay. Like they were just writing it and like nobody was like really super double checking on the dialogue.
Is the voice the cult leader? Or is the voice just a public face, kind of?
It could be either. Like, we don't know anything
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I feel like Cypher has better things to do. She's a busy lady. She's flying around all over the place.
Imagine how much time you'd have if you had like a hacker train on a plane that you're just flying around.
Yeah.
She's just like Skyping like her buds.
Cult leaders, like, talk about how they're cult leaders all the time. There was no dogma, it seemed like, in what she was saying in the last movie, unless I am misremembering. I feel like if it was her, we would have had more hints of, like, we are the future, blah, blah, blah.
What Joe and I have talked about is that either Cypher has to be, just in terms of narrative, unless they really want to mess this up, like, Cypher's either got to be, like, the head boss or, like, right-hand man to the head boss.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really have more than one above her. I like your idea, though, Cara. I think you mentioned earlier of her being, like, a contractor, like her being, like, an outside thing. But it also doesn't feel like
I
she's
really
the
get that
kind
vibe.
of one... Doesn't feel like she's the kind of person who would be a contractor. It's just like, this is going to be my show, in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but also I get a I don't work for anyone vibe.
True. To sort of complicate matters, when we first met Ramsey in 6, right? And she's like, they're talking about Cypher.
What if
and
it's
they're
her?
Like, we thought, it's probably not Ramsey, but maybe. You know, I always thought Cypher was an organization, and they find out that Cypher's just one person. They're like, oh shit, like that's, you know, because she's been so prolific.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I mean, she is an organization. She's running an organization.
True.
She's not beep booping everything herself all of the time.
Other thing that brought me to this, when I was watching it this time and we just saw 8, I was thinking that specifically the emphasis on body modification, right? We see Brixton being physically a different human than what he was half cyborg. And the emphasis on Cypher having different color eyes and hair colors and things like that. That's why I think that they're linked.
That's a possibility. She was kind of robot-y.
The big thing to keep in mind is that they're just keeping it open. Like they're leaving
Right.
the possibility they're leaving the possibility open to a lot of different directions. It could be Cypher, it could be someone else, it could be someone who knows Hobbs. I think the bigger question that I have from this movie, and this is a theory that people have talked about, like, is Ryan Reynolds, like, is Locke the actual voice? Like, not only did he do the voice, but could he also be the thing? And there's a couple things at the end. I think it's hard to read his character. It depends on if you think he's joking, which he probably is because he's Ryan Reynolds, and he apparently suggested at one point that he show up in this movie as Deadpool, which, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and let's just do that. Why not? But I think the 2 credit scenes at the end, when he's saying that there's another virus now, like Snowflake's under control, but there's another virus. That one, Snowflake melts your inside. This one melts your outside. Later, it's like, I punched a guy I stabbed a guy with a brick too. It's not that hard. They were talking about in the beginning of the movie that, like, Brixton, or they thought at the time Hattie, stabbed a guy with a brick, and they're like, how strong do you have to be, blah, 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 the virus is doing this to her. Then we later find out that it's actually Brixton, because we know, they know, whatever. It's Brixton because Brixton framed Hattie. At the end there, the 2 different things, like, is there actually another virus? Did Ryan Reynolds actually stab a guy with a brick? Is it difficult, or is he also superhuman from Etion? I think those are meant to be jokes, but you could also be like, oh, he's being serious and weird, and he's like a double agent, and I don't know. But there's a weird element to the Ryan Reynolds character. He's supposed to be a joke, I think, but also he might not be.
It's almost too open for me. It's so open that I'm like, he's just being a jokester. There's too many things like, it could be him, that it's like such an obvious red herring. If you make it this guy, you're like, we knew this all along. We knew the voice. We saw him stab someone with a brick. Like, we know all of these things. And, like, he's the perfect candidate to be a double agent. So don't give me this obvious choice?
I don't know. I just think that they made this movie very fast, and they purposely put a lot of open-ended things so that through casting and funness, they could answer them however they want. And I'm okay with that, honestly.
Yeah, same. It's still fun. It's like you said, at the end of the day, this is a really fun time.
The other thing I want to point out, the other big debate that we had.
Wait, before you move on to that, I was just Googling the words Etion and cipher, just curious about like what they mean and what their roots are. Cipher, it could be a noun or a verb, a secret disguised way of writing, or in verb form, put a message into secret writing. Etion actually means in accord with, truly, really, like, so it's almost like there are two diametrically opposed concepts. Where like one is like you're obfuscating something and the other thing is the real true meaning. So maybe it is her.
I do think that they have similar ideologies, though. And they both think that they're smarter than the rest of the world, that they're helping usher in the next wave of whatever.
Right. Yeah, they're definitely on the same side. They're definitely working together.
Yes.
It's just, are they one and the same is the question.
I always assumed it just was like an anagram.
Might also
like
be that.
Acronym.
The other thing that we really micromanaged and obsessed over, and like in the theater, Joe and I were like, wait, what? Is at the end, and I wrote this down, and I think it's just poor writing or weird delivery, but at the end, Cara, you might remember that Shaw says, he's talking to Brixton, you set me up as a traitor, turned my own sister against me, forced me to kill my own brother, you. And Joe and I were like, is he saying that they're brothers? Like what? In the subtitles, it's brother, period, you, period. So it's like, you did all these things, but the way that it's like, which is what we eventually landed on, because like, it doesn't make sense otherwise.
Because we thought maybe we were saying that suggests that Deckard is dead, or that Owen is dead.
Or that everyone is dead.
Actually, no, hold on. I take that back. What I was saying doesn't actually prove that. Forced me to kill my own brother, and then you is a separate sentence in the subtitles.
Oh, yeah, because it would have been like a comma, or like a semicolon, right?
Right, like, yeah, which is weird. Okay, so then, I forgot what our actual dilemma there was, because in this movie, Cara, if you'll remember, there's only one mention and one little background shot of a young Owen. He's not mentioned. Like, this is a whole movie about family, and he's just not in this movie. We don't know why. There's no trivia about it. There's no explanation why the actor's not in the movie.
Yeah, did he kill his brother?
I don't know. That's what we're saying.
Okay.
The quote here at the end,
didn't remember that happening.
it makes it, the subtitles especially, make it like, maybe.
And at the end of Fate, like, he comes in to help, and then he's just gone, and we don't know why or how, and nobody talks about it. It's very
Maybe
strange.
we'll find out in number 9, or Hobbs and Shaw 2.
They have not announced it yet, but I don't see a world in which this doesn't.
There are like more powerful women in this one movie than there are it seems like in the whole franchise.
They were building up to it. It was a slow burn, Cara. We had to get there.
I mean, I appreciated it. We get matriarchs, we get powerful women.
How did you feel about Lady Margarita?
I don't know who you're talking
Madam
about.
M, it's Isa Gonzalez. She's the Hispanic actress from Baby Driver. She's the Russian mobster.
Meet in Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Loved that part. All the ladies with guns. Fun.
Yeah, they had to call like a full woman crew to like solve their silly man problems.
Hell yeah. I love it when that happens. Also, I love that like it's just canon now that girls are good at computers. Well, because so often, like women are trained to think like, oh, I can't do computer stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought that
that
you were saying that because like they couldn't be strong.
Yeah, that's probably why, but like no, I just, I appreciate that like over the course of these movies when it comes to like somebody doing something on a computer so often it's
always
a woman.
Yeah, that's right. Ramsey, Cypher.
Yeah. As a girl who's good at computers, I appreciate it.
David Leitch asked, or I think it was David Leitch, that they were like, there's so many stories to tell in the Fast and Furious universe. Like, I would love to do like a TV show. And he pointed to Madame M, Marguerite, as just like just look at her. Like, she's on screen for 3 minutes, and she's got this entire organization she's running. She's fearless and badass and beautiful, and got a history with Shaw, and just like, yeah, like let's learn more about her.
True.
Yeah, and especially like in Russia, there's like so much fun cold weather fashion options. Like great fur hats, you don't have to wear pants, but you wear like a fun fur hat and you're covered.
Cara, I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people did, and I'm curious your opinion. Did you have an issue that Jason Statham is 52, but Vanessa Kirby's 31, what is that, a 20-something year difference.
At least she's not 18.
Which is great.
She's not a teenager. That's really all I care about.
I know characters could obviously play different ages, or like brothers and sisters could be different ages, but they're depicted as like really close in age in the flashbacks, and I know that was a point of contention from a lot of people.
That's why? Oh, yeah, they're brother and sister, not a romantic couple. So that's what I was talking about, because I forgot who they were. Didn't occur to me. Don't care. That's one of those details that like did not even come up on my radar.
Honestly, I didn't even realize it when I first saw it until I was just reading the news afterwards. Even on this watch, I wasn't like, whoa. Maybe because I don't really know, but
Jason Statham looks like he plays younger. Like, he's been this age forever.
Yeah.
Right? He looked the same when he was 30 as he does now. So, like, that's, I think, why my brain, like, is just doesn't even care about this. Because I'm like, oh, he's always, like, late 30s to me.
I will reject that a little bit. Because late 90s, early 2000s, before he embraced the bald look, he's got, like, balding hair, and he looks older than he does now. Like, basically,
so
once he shaved his head, yeah, he basically got younger. Like, he kind of looked like a middle-aged man, and now he just looks like an action star, which is just, devoid of age. You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird transition.
It's fair.
But there's movies that you can see in the late 90s, early 2000s that are just like, oh, what is that? Like, you could see he's got a charisma, but it's like, oh, the look is not there yet.
Yeah. That makes sense.
The Rock wanted to get Jason Momoa as one of his Samoan brothers, but the timing wouldn't work out. But Jason Momoa has said, quote, next Hobbs movie for sure. So maybe he'll be here, with Jonah and Jason Momoa.
He's currently running around Pittsburgh, and, like, all the women in the local Pittsburgh groups on Facebook are just going nuts about it. Like, he's going to, like, put down everything to, like, take some, 40-year-old Yinzer off her feet.
Two things I want to point out in the car chase when Brixton's on his motorcycle and it's the one that ends with him going through the double-decker bus. There's the one part where Hobbs picks up the guy off his motorcycle and basically shoves him into a wall, which, like, we talk about needless brutality in these movies, like the guy getting run over by the semi-truck in Too Fast. This guy's spine is shattered. Like, it's not broken, it is in pieces.
It's fine. Etienne can give him a new one.
That's true, and I think we've talked before about, like, how we don't know if they get paid money or just in bodily enhancements, so maybe that he's not dead, but, like, he takes a huge hit.
Yeah.
I also do like that in that same scene, we know that he has a history in Japan, but Jason Statham, Shaw, Tokyo drifts under those semis, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, we don't see a lot of drifting in these movies, but he drifts.
I feel like it happens at least once in all the later movies, because every time it happens, I'm like, oh, they're drifting.
Yes.
It's like not always like a super cool action moment like it was under the semi-truck, but it's definitely there because I'm like, I know what that is.
The only other note that I made this time around was when they go to the airport and they get detained, and it's Mike Hawksball, and he's like, it's not small, my name's Michael. I was just thinking this time, I never thought before, it's kind of a reverse Office Space, where the Bobs are talking to Michael Bolton, and he's like, you can just call me Mike. Like, I don't want to be associated with Michael Bolton, the singer. Here, it's the same kind of thing. It's a name joke to a certain extent.
About Michaels.
Yeah, but just, instead of Mike, which is here, he goes to Michael, and then Office Space is the reverse. It's just I just thought of that, and I wanted to share that. It's a reverse Office Space. Joe, anything else you picked up this time around that you want to mention?
I worked all of mine into the conversation.
Beautiful. Brian, what about you? Any other thoughts before we play a couple games?
Oh, when you were mentioning Momoa, I thought you were going to mention professional wrestler Roman Reigns as one of his brothers.
Yes.
I was a little disappointed because, not that I'm a big Roman Reigns fan, but like they were really hyping it. Like, oh, he was a big part of this movie. And I don't know if he even has a speaking line, does he?
I think he might say like one thing in passing, like thanks, or like okay, like in the background when they're building everything. But yeah, he doesn't talk. He doesn't have a scene where he converses.
No, that was disappointing. But good for him. He beat leukemia, and I think he was like in the process of fighting it while filming. So
yeah, he was close to the end. It was like right before his comeback, right? Like when it came out.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones jokes feel a little dated, and this movie's really new, so that's weird. But
So what I've been talking about on this lap is how these movies are like little time capsules of the moment in time that they come out. And on this one, I was like writing down some of the elements that I think aligned with that, and the Game of Thrones references are definitely.
It's going to
among them.
firmly put this exactly where it came out. And,
Yeah,
like, we will
which is
never
perfect.
forget.
I love that about these movies. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it date and time stamped itself hard with the Game of Thrones. Yeah.
They spoil the end of Game of Thrones in this movie, like the very final.
And it wasn't that far after
no,
it ended.
No, a couple, like maybe 2 months, maybe.
Yeah.
Which is actually, in a weird way, impressive that they got that, like, the reshoots got it in, but at the same time, it's like, what are you doing?
It's very bold of them to assume that the Fast and Furious fans would care and know the Game of Thrones stuff.
I think it was just so part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a
Yeah.
Game of Thrones person, never watched it, but it was everywhere. Like, everything
Yeah.
that I watched, somebody was talking about it. Everything that I listened to, somebody was talking about it. And it's
Sure.
not like I was going out of my way to consume Game of Thrones adjacent media.
Yeah, but I could have seen, like, the one reference, like, the ruining at the end. I was like, whoa.
Well, there's the
Like,
3
very
jokes in the
bold of
first
you.
scene where it's just like they all have to get a quote, and it's like we don't need that. Like, I don't mind it being referenced, but it's the weird repetition, it's the coming back to it. Like, I guess that might chalk up a little bit to Brian's. They just did it quickly, and like it's just, yeah, it's fine, we'll leave it in there. But like,
Yeah, they're like, we're going to use these 4 lines, like, and then we'll fill them with other shit. And they're like, no, that works.
oh, actually, I do want to say that I messaged this to you on Facebook, Joe. But before this movie came out, I think David Leitch, the director, was talking about how the runtime was going to be about 2 hours, and actually, without the credit scenes, it's like
right about-
it's like 2 hours and 1 minute. Like, there's like 15 minutes of credits, but there's like 5 or 6 of that is actually video footage, like, Sam, the daughter, going to Samoa, and them going to visit, Queenie.
That was
and...
the only time in the whole movie that I cried.
Really?
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It was. I enjoyed it.
And them visiting Queenie in prison. And I also do like that you have Princess Margaret, and her mom's name in this is Queenie. Well, that makes sense. Queenie, the mother to a princess. So David Leitch said this was going to be a 2-hour movie or so, but he also promised when it was on home video there would be a director's cut. And as far as I can tell, there's no director's cut out there. The Blu-ray and the 4K is the same runtime as the theatrical. The digital copy that you can redeem is the same length as the theatrical. If you look on moviecensorship.com, which is where you see all the differences in one version to another, they mention that news that David Leitch said that there's going to be a longer cut, but there's no actual longer cut out there. If you poke around, even, in nefarious dark web, to quote Mike Manzi, the resident story Mike Manzi, dark web corners of the internet, there's no director's cut. So, like, I don't know if there will still be a director's cut. I know there are deleted scenes and extended scenes on this disc that we will get to at some future lap. It's weird that we were sort of, in a way, promised more footage, and then we didn't get it. So I wonder if they just, like, if it's still coming, if he scrapped his idea, or if, like, the vision is just, like, the movie they released is the movie he wanted to make. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I mean, obviously, for us, we want an extended edition. And I'm sure that there's definitely scenes that they cut in this movie, right? Like, there has to be. I would like the extra minutes. I wonder why they're not releasing it.
It might not exist, because I feel like the last, at least 6, 7, 8, I think, have all had... 8 had, an extra 12 minutes, I think. One of them had an extra, like, minute. Maybe another one had, like, 2 or 3 minutes. Like, there's all been into the movie, not just deleted scenes, but into the movie changes. And then this one... It's not. I don't know. It's a weird, strange.
Yeah.
Not bad, just strange. Cara, what about you? Anything else about this movie, about Hobbs and Shaw, that you want to...
So much.
Okay.
So, to circle back to what I was talking about with regard to the time capsule effect of this movie, not only the Game of Thrones reference, but Russia, going to Russia.
Sure.
Russia's real big. The fashion. Joey, did you notice Princess Margaret's eyebrows?
I've noticed everything about
They're
her.
huge. They're so big.
Yeah.
They're
Is that
very
a
prominent.
British thing or no?
Big eyebrows?
Yeah.
I'm unsure.
Okay.
This is actually more like maybe 2 years ago now, but like a real full heavy eyebrow was
Yes.
very in for a moment.
But they're also very curated. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's not like they're just...
Manicured.
Sculpted is the word.
I mean, they look great.
They do. They're just very large.
Yes.
Also, strong women are really having a moment in 2019 or whenever this movie came out.
2019,
And then
yep.
the other thing is that there's an FBI agent listening in joke, which was a meme on Twitter for a while, that people were making jokes about how everyone is assigned their own personal FBI agent whose entire job is just to like sit and listen to them talk and look at everything that they do. Probably true, but it's actually an NSA agent. But in this movie, I guess it's CIA. That to me felt very kind of the moment.
I feel like the Fast and Furious universe has kind of redefined the scope of what government agencies handle, because they invented the DSS, which is also, probably taking jurisdiction from some of those. So, yeah, sure. FBI, CIA, NSA, whatever. It's all the same.
With the fashion, it's all about fit and fabrics. So there's a lot of technical fabrics. My
Fit and fabrics or fitting
Fit.
fabrics?
Fit and fabrics.
Okay.
The fabrics being a lot of like technical fabrics, which we talked about a little bit in the last one. I feel like the like kind of hints of like military style that we saw in the last one really go into full effect in this one. A lot of like army green colored stuff, leather looking kind of fabric, but is actually probably something synthetic. I love those tactical suits that the bad guys wear. I would love one of those. Just like as like an everyday uniform would be great. As far as like the fit and the cut of things, you'll see this, of course, more in the female characters. Princess Margaret is wearing very high-waisted stuff, which has been in for the last few years.
Okay.
And also the way that it like hangs on her body is very contemporary to now. Especially that outfit that she's wearing in Samoa has like very kind of Katharine Hepburn and Out of Africa vibes that I really enjoyed.
I have a question. I have a fashion-related question that Jordan pointed out, that a minor thing that she loved about this movie, and I don't know if you noticed, because I did not, but I think you would be more prone to notice. She really appreciated this movie, that in one scene, Hattie takes off her heels to run.
Yes! I don't know if I actually saw that when I was watching this, but that makes me very mad. Don't get me started, because this will become a podcast about women running in heels in action movies. Oh, I love the side-by-side morning routine.
The different colors.
Yeah, like the first scene. Yeah.
The first scene where we see Hobbs and Shaw do their own individual morning routines. Love to see a morning routine in a movie. Oh, there were lots of like sparkly future clothes in London when they were there, and a lot of like beautiful colored light that I enjoyed. The I Heart Cops face tattoo made me laugh really hard. I don't even remember what happens. I just wrote that down.
Oh, it's in the beginning when Hobbs and Shaw are both going after a guy, and then Hobbs pins the guy down to a tattoo parlor,
Right.
and tattoos "I Heart Cops" on his face.
Yes.
That'd be such a damning tattoo to have.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the worst possible tattoo for a criminal underworld person to have.
It's very well played. Like, you could have made that very distasteful very quickly, and they went with I Heart Cops, which is just hilarious and
Yeah,
fun,
exactly.
and, like,
Hobbs misquotes Nietzsche. I had to fact check it. So unless I mistranscribed the quote, he says there's more wisdom in your body than all your philosophies, and attributes it to Nietzsche. When in real life, what he actually said, there's more wisdom in your body than your deepest philosophy.
not really fact checking a quote is like right up. That's really on brand for Fast and the Furious, right?
Yeah. Who's that woman taking care of the Rock's daughter? Like, what?
I
She's
wrote
like
that down.
out of
She's not
focus
family.
always.
They don't have family.
Yeah.
He says it's your aunt. Like, go with your aunt.
But who?
Okay.
But like they
And
don't
now it's a
have.
point
There's no sister. It must be like a family friend aunt.
Yeah, which it's an auntie. That's fine. The invisible domestic labor of women that enables men to succeed in their careers.
Yeah.
And she's literally like out of focus in every frame that she's in. She's just in the background, which I appreciate that we see that somebody's there, because otherwise I'd be like, who's watching The Rock's daughter?
Yeah.
It could have been another character. Maybe she was in the extended cut. Maybe that's one of the scenes that didn't make it.
Oh my god, could you imagine like all these like fans who are waiting for like an extended cut, and it's like half an hour of this lady's story? I'm not saying it's bad, but I think there'd be a lot of like teenage bros really disappointed in that.
Well, teenage bros need to learn about the invisible domestic labor of women that allows so many men to succeed in their careers.
Yeah, it's just like her like doing chores and stuff to take care of the Rock's daughter. We just get 30 minutes of that.
The domestic labor cut.
Give me the domestic labor cut now. When Princess Margaret is kidnapped again, maybe, I don't know, this is towards the end.
Okay.
They like take her and they bring her on a helicopter, and then the helicopter crashes. Right before that, it seems like she's, and this might have just been a head injury or whatever, but it seems like she's starting to get dizzy and is like perhaps starting to experience symptoms. And then they bring her on the helicopter, and I was like, she would be barfing all over the place, which made me realize that this franchise really so few bodily fluids.
Which is very nice. I appreciate that deeply.
No, I want to see the barf.
Ew,
Give me the
no,
barf.
get out of here.
Barf cut, barf cut. I enjoyed that by the end of the movie they learned about teamwork. That was
Yes.
nice. I think that's it.
You had a good watch of this, though. That was good. I'm glad that you enjoyed this, and I'm glad that you're slowly jumping aboard the Hobbs train now.
And it's amazing that I remember any of it at all, because I watched it last week and then watched a lot of real weird movies since then.
Even better. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a couple games to play, as always. We got a couple games to play. So, first up, this ain't no 10-second race, aka boy do we have a podcast for you. So now, Brian, I don't know if you've been keeping up with this lap, but Cara has been smoking all of us with this game where we go on twitter.com and we find someone who might be interested in the podcast, say, boy, do we have a podcast for you, hashtag Fast and Furious, hashtag 2F2F, hashtag 2Fast2Forever, link to the show page, see what happens. So as a scoring recap, so far in its entirety, I have 9.5 points, Joe has 16, Cara has 9, Brian, you have 0. But you've only been on, I guess you've been on 3 times. It's time to start.
I'm not doing well.
It's a very difficult game. However, we found out last time, even before we finished, I think, or maybe right after we finished, that we've got crazy points from at least one person. So we're going to go look now at last episode's picks. So we're going to start with me. I found Joseph Stewart at jstewart_. I was able to rewatch Hobbs and Shaw and finish Alan Taylor's new book on my flight to AHA 20. It's called Balance. Boy, do we have a podcast for you? Nothing. Of course not. Why would there be? Joe, you found I Am Zaffrey at Zaffrey31, Fast and Furious 9, 2020. Don Team vs. Cypher, Atheon or The Rock will make a cameo. Hobbs and Shaw 2, 2021. The Rock, Statham, Kevin Hart, and Ryan Reynolds teaming up to fight Atheon. Fast and Furious 10, 2022. Don Team and The Rock Team will fucking team up to fight Atheon. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Joe, you got 2 points. We got a retweet there.
Oh, nice.
So you are up to
Gotta build my
18
lead on
points.
Cara
Yes,
again.
because, Cara, you found Charlie Fisher at Charlie F_music, Little Women, Too Little, Two Women, Little Women, Tokyo Drift, Little End Women, Little Five, Furious Women, Women 7, The Fate of the Women. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Charlie F immediately replied, "Sir, I am a homosexual." And then we replied with, "You're still family to us," Suki gif, and it basically led down a rabbit hole to Charlie is going to be on an episode in the future. So, Cara, you get 5 points, but also realistically a lot more. But in terms of the points, he didn't like it, he didn't retweet it, but Charlie you get 5 points. So now, Cara, with 1 episode to go, Joe has 18, you have 14. Can you continue? You're almost averaging 2 points an episode, which is like unheard of.
Two points a game is insane.
Gretzky-esque. Like, this is like 191 points in a season. Like, we don't know what is happening.
Greatest of all time.
So,
yeah,
we're gonna hang your jersey from the rafters. Even teams that you're not on are gonna retire your jersey because you are the great one. So no pressure, but you have one more chance until future laps. When you come back to talk about future movies for the foreseeable future. This is your last run. So does anybody have a tweet yet that they want to share with the class?
It's at vitamin, looks like 2 underscores, C underscore. Just saw on Pornhub, Hobbs and Shaw got boring, so I got some dick. How dare she disrespect such an amazing movie? Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
You do remember that we're going to retweet this, right?
It's tangentially weird, but like it's pretty tame. People bitching about Pornhub comments is like a meme.
Okay. I like it.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like go on Pornhub. It's just like it's making a joke about Pornhub comments. I think that's fair.
One of the things that I searched on Twitter while I'm looking is snowflake virus, and this reminded me. Another one for the time capsule is the word snowflake.
Yes. There was a point where Fast and Furious was like a thing, like a political thing.
Ugh.
And we were just like going through the tweets like, can we just have somebody talking about the movies, please, and not.
Yeah, snowflake virus was a bust.
Okay, I got one. Here's this one. This is from like a month ago, so I don't know if this is going to work. Comrade wearing a Volcom hoodie in 2020. At Comrade Snarkard. Like Leonard Skinner, I guess, but Kanye Snarkyard, whatever. In traffic, behind a lifted truck with a Fast and Furious license plate holder, crying, thinking about all the beautiful works Paul Walker left behind, like Tammy and the T-Rex.
Wow, how appropriate.
Nice.
I don't know.
Damn.
There's a chance that this is sarcastic, but still, it feels like there's a lot going on here.
There's knowledge.
Right in our wheelhouse.
There definitely is.
Cara, can you please share with the class?
This is from a person on Twitter, no display name, at LIHT House.
Lighthouse without the G, yeah.
The way I was the only Hobbs and Shaw supporter on film Twitter, and it got good reviews and was a huge box office success. ... I'm literally a good luck charm.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Banner picture is Parasite right now too, so that's pretty cool.
Jessica, only child, Illinois, Chicago.
Yes, exactly.
I know this won't win. It's a verified person, but whatever. It's worth reading it.
You nailed it. It's perfect for me. Like, you gave me the laugh that I was looking for, so thank you.
It's also from July, but yes, Brian, please read aloud and also try to describe the picture.
Daniel D. Dario at DPD _.
Yep.
Tired, Hobbs and Shaw. Wired, Hobbs and Bradshaw. And it's Sex and the City picture of Carrie Bradshaw and Miranda Hobbs.
Oh, that's amazing.
Similar names, but awesome.
That was so great, dude. And we've been watching so much Sex in the City lately. It's on like TBS or something. Like they air the reruns now on cable, cut censored versions of them, and it's so good.
I did just fave this, but don't count that.
And Daniel Diodario is the chief television critic for Variety.
I mean, there's a reason he's the chief television critic for Variety.
Yeah, he fucking nailed it.
Great
That's
takes
why.
like this. I never thought about those that name connection, so I love it.
Never ever thought it.
All right, we've got one more game to play. Dude, what's my car? So let me open up my email. We've got 3 different car pictures. So now you both get to pick. Do you want to help me give clues, or do you want to help me do you want to help Joe guess? I think one of you. I don't want to pressure. I think one should be on one. One should be guessing with Joe.
Okay, I will give clues. I don't know anything about cars.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just that would be somebody has to cook all the food and do all the things, and then somebody has to eat it, and you're like, okay, I'll eat it.
It's important to know your strengths.
And Brian, you don't need to be with me if you don't want to. You can go on the other side too. It's fine.
I'm not good at cars, but I don't want to ruin the game either, so I'll just play along at home.
Then you can give clues.
All right, fine.
While I'm bringing this up, I do want to point out that Cara and Brian, last week as this comes out, we mentioned on the last episode very briefly, but Cara and Brian once again talked about Tanny and the Teenage T-Rex. So if you want even more Tanny and the Teenage T-Rex chat, you can go check out High School Slumber Party.
Oh yeah, because it comes out Friday to us, but
correct.
It'll be out.
This is a very cool car. It's from the 1930s. I will say that.
Ooh, neato. It is a cool car.
Nick did not add any background history to it. I'm going to look it up right now, but it is American.
It's a very famous car.
Is it?
Okay.
Never seen it before.
Because I've heard of it, that's why.
Oh.
I want to see why it's famous, because I can't remember, but I know it's very famous.
It's a full-size car produced from 1934 to 1937. It's one of the first full-size American production cars to use streamlining as a basis for building a sleeker automobile, one less susceptible to air resistance. And I think that is the overall, it's a tapered, comparing this to eyebrows, it's a very sculpted car.
Yes.
A lot of Art Deco detailing, though.
Yeah.
1930s, very streamlined car.
It's if you're Jay Leno level of collecting.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to ask you if Jay Leno had
I actually love having
Shit.
2 people giving clues, because I can just shut up and listen. This is nice.
It would definitely make a meep meep noise if you honked the horn. Or an awooga.
I don't know if this is allowed, but it's named after, I don't want to say what it does, but in a way, when you hear the name, you're going to be like, oh, okay.
Here's a hint, Joe, without being too specific, but I think it also, it might help, it might not help, but there's a very specific scene that we talked about in Ford v Ferrari that I asked you about in Ford v Ferrari. I mean, we talked about the aerodynamics, making it less air resistance, right? But
yes,
less wind resistance. But there's a scene in Ford v Ferrari where they
tape all the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's in that wheelhouse.
The car has shit taped to it?
No, but it's that same kind of, the name is essentially indicative of that type of thing.
You said streamline.
Yeah, but you're definitely on the right track with that kind of name.
Slipstream, Jetstream.
No, but you're in the ballpark.
Oof.
Is this what they call white wall tires?
Oh, in the original picture? Let me see. Yeah. I think.
Is the brand of the car a Studebaker?
No.
Is it
the brand? I think still exists, or it did until very recently. It might have been.
It's one of the big brands.
It is. Is it still around though? Is the question.
Our questioning it is, I believe it is, but our questioning it is that's a clue in itself.
It's one of the big 3 auto manufacturers, Joe.
Okay.
It's been rebranded since, but part of the new rebranded name is still the original name. It basically merged to a certain extent, I think.
General Motors?
No.
GM? Daimler Chrysler.
Yes.
Yeah.
A 30s Chrysler that has a Jetstream, Slipstream name.
We're so close.
Streamline. No, we said Streamline. I don't know. I'm close. How close? Like
I mean, you don't have the words right, but you just have like nature effect
arrow.
verb, nature effect adjective.
One of the 4 elements that are not actually elements, scientifically speaking.
Oh, like the wind stream,
So close.
fire stream, water stream,
Avatar, the last,
air stream,
but close. But it's not
Chrysler
airstream.
airstream,
It's not
No, it's
airstream.
not.
wind stream.
No, you
Close.
No, you had air.
Oh.
Like
Never mind,
a
I
rapper
was
has
thinking.
good this, right? Like
He spits
The
good
air
blank.
vocabulary stream.
He spits good what?
Hot fire.
God damn it.
You would hustle and
Flow. The airflow stream.
God.
The airflow.
You're overcomplicating it.
you said it right.
The airflow. The airstream.
Yes, it's the airflow.
The Chrysler Airflow. And when you see the picture,
Okay,
you're like,
let
oh,
me see
that
it.
car.
Let me see.
Hold on, I'll put him in.
Ooh, yeah. This is a car that like a nice mobster would have, right? And it also looks aerodynamic. Yeah, this is fun. Oh, yeah. Well, the airflow would have been like very. That makes sense. When you're talking about the Ford versus Ferrari thing, it's like the airflow over the car. No, this is cool, and I like the back too. It kind of looks like the beginnings of like a Volkswagen Beetle. Mm-hmm. Like it has like that kind of thing going on.
I said about the last one that it looked like something that you would escape the Dust Bowl in, and this is definitely one that you would escape the Dust Bowl in.
Yeah, yes, it would be. Do we know why Nick sent it in?
Nope. Did not add any. Actually, what was
He
the?
just thinks
Hold
it's
on, let me
cool.
see what the name of the email was.
This was fun, man. You'd have to be like a nice old rich guy to like have one of these to take your family out in. Aruga.
No, subject line just car pick, and there's nothing. I think it's just probably a cool car that he found.
It was a cool car. That was actually a tough one too. But we eventually got there. Thank you for all the help, guys.
Cool.
I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Nick, for writing it. If you want to send in a car picture, family@cageclub.me. Next week, we will be talking about the skulls on our pit stop, and then in 2 weeks, Carol will be back as part of our relap recap, not the entire time, but sort of an exit interview, which we've never done before. We'll get her rankings. Joe will also give his official, because this is lap 5, so he has to give his actual real rankings. If he stops being an asshole about it.
Joey's been busting my balls for these for all 5.
Basically,
They're
since Hobbs Shaw came out, I was
impossible
like,
to
give me a
rank.
ranking. You're like, no, I'm not going to. And I'm like, God damn it. But yes, he will get real rankings for sure. But Brian, thank you so much for joining us, for coming back. We will have you back.
Thank you.
We don't know who the guest will be yet for lap 6, but we know that you will be here for one of those, I hope. But Brian, thank you for being here. If you want to plug your podcast, which people should know about, actual avid diehard listeners of this should know, because we basically did.
We talk about you all the time.
We also
Yeah,
did a
we do.
Too Fast, Too Forever episode essentially on there. But please talk about High School Slumber Party.
Well, first of all, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for recapping my wedding the other day. That was interesting. But High School Slumber Party, Fridays are for fun. It's on Friday here on the Cage Club Podcast Network, and we talk about high school films, teen films. Cara, you've been on a ton of times. As mentioned, we just re-talked about Tammy and the T-Rex. It's fun. We're almost at episode 100. That's coming up in like 2 months. So really excited, plowing through. Things have been good in the Slumber Party. We'll just put it that way.
It's always a fun time to come on to High School Slumber Party, and I love it over there. So
Thank you.
And Cara, thank you for joining us once again. We will not say our official goodbye to you until next episode, but
I'm already so sad.
well, you've already called dibs on a future lap that we have not actually decided upon, but you said you want to come back for again in the actual release order, which I don't know if we're going to do, but you can come back for sure. You know, we might have you and Mike come
and
on
you can
together
come
for
to
9.
The family,
All right.
the family viewings now. You can join us when Fast 9 comes out. We can all go see it together in the theater. It's a big family. It'll be so much fun.
Yes, but thank you, Cara, so much for joining us. And if you want to plug your podcast, Wistful Thinking, because I mean, people should know, but in case they don't, what is Wistful Thinking all about?
Me and my co-host Jordan, we're not sure at this point. We're at a crossroads. You know, we've spent the last couple of years like looking back at things that we remembered fondly from our youth and like rewatching them and like kind of discovering the process of what it means to take a piece of art that was important to you at one time that you kind of forgot about and it like re-experience it now that you've had all of these like new experiences in life and you're probably a different person than you were the last time that you saw it. I don't know where we're headed.
Well,
So
Every other
So
Thursday.
subscribe
Yeah.
to Wistful Thinking and you'll find out.
figure out alongside Cara and Jordan as they figure out where they're going.
Next month for February. When does this come out?
Comes out this month. You're good.
Next month, we're going to be doing a little surrealism month.
Ooh.
So we're going to be in one episode talking about the films of Luis Buñuel, the surrealist filmmaker, and I'm not sure what we'll do for the other episode, but I want to take Jordan on a visual art adventure.
Well, because of Jordan, I actually know about Louise Boonwell, so she's familiar with him.
Yes. Yeah, it was her idea.
Again, thank you so much for joining us now. But for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, all 9 episodes of Cara, all 4 episodes of Brian, you can go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Come back next week for The Skulls, the Rob Cohen, Paul Walker masterpiece that I've never seen yet. Come back in 2 weeks for our Relap recap, where we get Cara's exit interview. We get some rankings. We do some fun stuff. We look back at the lap that was, the driving school lap, the Paul Walker, Brian O'Connor lap. So very exciting things coming up in the near future right here on Too Fast, Too Forever. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
I'm Cara Gael O'Regan.
Brian, I'm going to let you say it. We don't normally let you say it, but I'm going to let you say it.
Who I am?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was done. I was just like chilling. I'm Brian Rodriguez.
And we'll see you next time right here on Too Fast, Too Forever.